Maybe that's a dumb waiter.
Maybe you go in the dumb waiter.
What are you saying? I'm dumb? I'm a waiter?
No, I'm pretty sure the dumb waiters for dumb people that have to get timeouts.
I know what the dumb waiter is.
Stay out of the way. We'll come around here. We got chairs over here, guys. Yes. No, most people are traveling, so put out the
Okay, I will go ahead in the sheet so you guys write down the name or email if you need to help for the coaching as well. Finally, we're ready. Now, sorry, take a little bit more time for setup. And today we're going to have, thank you everyone coming for learning about how to become, what is FL and how to become a coach. And I wish all of you guys will get something out of today's training. And before we start, is that could you like give us introduce yourself and were you looking for the FL and going to become a coach, potential coach? I start for myself. My name is Jenny. I actually coached for FL for 7 years. Start with when my older son is like 9 years old, with my younger son 6 years old. So both my boys in FL for my older one for 5 years, my younger one for 7 years. And the thing is, I love the first FL program so much because I saw how much my kids get out from that. So that's after like after 3-4 years we joined FL. So then we just because this is so good, so I just wanted to let more people know about FL and I want more kids get involved and the parents get involved, and you will see how much you can grow in the future. Okay.
Hi. Do you want us to stand up or do you?
It doesn't matter.
I'm Sean McCann. My daughter goes to JEI,
Okay.
and she in Warwick, and she wants to do Lego. So I'm a teacher, so a science teacher. So I thought my wife and I thought it would be a good thing for me to train here.
Great.
Thank you.
Excuse me. My name is Gary. I'm from Melbourne. I coach for the First League Junior for the past 3 years for the elementary school. So current this year, all my teams now growing to be enough, old enough to be First League League. So this first time I'm coaching the First League League. No experience for this year's tournament, so I hope I can learn something here. And of course, I saw my team; they're all very interested. We already learned a lot from YouTube, all the resource the First Lego League published. So they're very into it. So I hope as a coach, I'm trying to this year learn from here, and at least I can continue coach them. So that's my.
Thank you. Great.
Hey everyone, this is Yufei from Ridgewood. So I have two boys, 10 and 8. So my two boys has been involved in the junior FL, and I think my older one might actually starting in FL. So I hope they actually can learn a lot of things, and myself also by participating, hopefully can learn some coaching skills here. So. Two boys still don't have a team yet, so I'm actually.
Are you going to start a team?
Maybe if you need it. So, but yeah, very nice meeting everyone here. Yeah, hopefully we can learn from each other.
Hi, my name is CJ. I'm from Berkeley. My only experience with this is guide my daughter to play with the redo, and also her project we talk a lot about. So I'm just here to learning. I have a daughter which is turning 9 years old.
That's a seat to talk to start.
Hi, my name is Charmaine. I live in Overdale. Yeah, I have two kids. This is almost 6, 5, and my daughter is turning to 9. So just I never thought about it, but yeah. Together and everything, like the teamwork, organization, everything. So I think the value I see from
I'm also interested in the future, maybe a couple of years. No. Depends on availability on the life and
step up and take the place. So come here to learn. I don't have any experience. I'm just looking for learn a lot and also be able to help out with my women's team.
Great.
I'm Yana. My husband is there. Yeah, my son is a 10-year-old. That's my younger one, but he will not go to the league this year. But my my older one will go to first grade next year, and we already have a team. So this year is our first year being the feast, right? So last year my son was in the junior Lego with Jenny. He likes the competition. So this year we want the coach, my husband and me, want to be the coach with the team, and we want to learn a lot from you guys. Yeah.
Hi, I'm from the office. My son this year attend to this course Lego lesson. Yeah, I will just learn and study the knowledge from this.
Yeah, my name is Ji Guo, and I'm one of the parent coaches for the team, and tentatively called Jack, Team Jack. I never, because we have two Jack on the team. That's the only reason. We may change the name later on. I never doubt the benefit the kids could get from this program. For example, the teamwork, and then the project management skills, keep the timeline, as well as the hands-on experience. So yeah, presentation skills. So I'm looking forward to learning more from this program.
I'm Ben. I think my wife Yana already introduced a lot. So my son Jack was in the junior level team last year. In the final presentation, actually, I was surprised how much he learned, and he really did a good job of improving his presentation skill. He was always interested in building stuff, but the presentation was a big part of the Lego, the junior Lego event. So I think I want him to keep improving that. I think this year is more like formal, so I hope he learns a lot and have a lot of fun.
My name is Tom. I'm from New State, New York, a little far from here. My friends being introduced my kids to the team. I have two sons, 10 and 6. I think they can learn a lot. So like whenever the parents said, not only building stuff, but also present how to organize the project. That's skills that need in the group.
My name is I came here basically two reasons. The first reason is I have two boys, and my first boy is very close to me, so I want to know more about Lego. And second reason is I'm a science teacher, so STEM education is very hard in the field of science and engineering, so I want to know how to be a coach in robotics, and I want to know what the standards will evaluate in the Lego project.
Now we have a walk for you.
Yeah, my name is Yang Hong. I came from Wing, about 20 minutes from here. We just formed a team of 6 kids. Everyone is a potential coach. I came here to learn how to coach the team. First time, very new to the FLL.
This is Lee. I just curious about this league, so I want to learn something here. I think I'll introduce some good things for league. I'm just eager to learn.
Hi, I'm Joanne here. We come from Vietnam. And my also lecture in so we like to learn about it, so we're here today.
Okay. Have a team. Want to join the team? Okay. Now we're going to start the real presentation. Actually, before the presentation, I want to introduce their the team Mechabots. which they already did 3 years, right? This is the fourth year.
Yep, we're into our 4th year.
Yeah, they come from Ridgewood, and also the coach Rome. Yeah, she coached for several years. Yeah, for the FL too, and some of our team members, and yeah, and we actually today what the schedule will be. The first we're going to have our the team member introduce what is the project, the overall about the FL, and also introduce what the project is. FL have 3 parts. In the presentation, you will see there's 3 parts: project, robot, and core value. So FL not just a robot. So then we're going to have several young, actually experienced team member present what is the project. Then we're going to have our Macroboss team present what they get from the FL and what they actually feel is very valuable for you guys as a new coach. If you guys know about some tips for the FL, and then we're going to have robot presentation about the robot game part of FL. After that, we go to the 3rd part will be the core value, and then we're going to give some coaching tips after that. So basically, after today's the whole training, so you will know what's the end result from the FL and like how to step by step come out from that. And you probably will not get everything from it, which you need to experience from it. And but you kind of have an idea what it is about. Okay, now the team. Come here for the And actually, we bring some like the posters. Yeah, that one is actually we take the FL Junior posters here. So you guys, if you guys have young kids, you guys can look into the FL Junior, which have a presentation plus the Lego model, which they do. And then we have several the poster boards for the FL, what they need to come out at the end of this competition season. The first one is robot game part. Yeah, basically after they've done the robot, they need to, when they go to the judging room, it's better to have this presentation board because they need to see the programming of it and also what's your strategy, what's your what's your design. And this is actually, it's about the core value, the post board. So later on when we explain, you guys will know what kind of thing we're looking. And this one is our project. Is our project proposal. Basically, the kids, we actually forgot to bring our end results, the invention. The project basically, the kids need to really use their creative way to create a solution for a real world problem. So this is their presentation, the post board. Now, give to you guys.
So hello, my name is Anthony Lee. I've been in FLL for 7 years now, actually. Most recently, I was part of the Dragonite team, and I am a rising freshman.
My name is Aaron Liu. I'm going 8th grade, and I've been in first unbelief for 3 years, and I've also been in the team. My name is Marvin Mao. I've been in FLL for 2 years and junior FLL for 1 year, and I'm going to 7th grade.
So, before we go on, does anyone here know what FIRST is?
What is FIRST?
Or what FIRST stands for? Yes, sir.
First is typically, well, I know the S is for science, the T is for technology, 4 inspiration, well,
Great job. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yes, good job.
I forgot what the R is.
Super.
So FIRST actually stands for inspiration and technology. for inspiration and recognition of science and technology. And first, it was founded by Dean Common in 1989, and the story goes that he wanted to create first for a way for kids who might not be really good at sports, but really good at other fields like technology and science, to exercise their leader skills. And he also founded first to inspire a new generation of inventors and scientists. First encompasses many programs, such as Junior FLL, as you can see on that poster over there, that's Junior FLL, for kids in grades, kindergarten to 3rd grade. First Lego League, which is what we're going to be focusing on today, for kids in grades 4 to 8. First Tech Challenge, for kids in grades 7 to 12, and the last one for high schoolers is First Robotics Competition.
So, now that we know what the organization first is, we're going to be focusing on their specific program, FLL, or First Lego League, which is for grades 4 through 8 and ages 9 through 12, or 9 to 14, or 9 through 14 or 9 to 16, depending on the country. So, in First Lego League, tomorrow's innovators practice imaginative thinking and teamwork. And in each team, there are going to be 2 or more adult coaches and up to 10 members from grades 4 through 8. In the project, the team is going to research a real-world problem and develop a new solution. And in the robot game, the team members will design, build, and program a robot using Lego Mindstorms and to compete on a tabletop playing field. So every year, FLL has a theme, and your project has to be based on that theme, and all of the missions in the robot game will also relate to that theme. This year, the theme is into orbit, or space exploration. And in past years, has been hydrodynamics for water, animal allies to help animals, and trash truck to help with all our trash. And then FLL has 3 parts: the core values, the robot game, and the project. We're ready to talk about the project is, like we said, where the team members think of a problem, and we'll talk about that later. And then in the robot game, it's the most well-known part of FLL, and the core values are guidelines to help your team do the project in the robot game, such as you should always help your team members.
All right, so let's just get into let's just take a peek at what it might be like to coach an FLL team. So here is what your typical season will look like. So May, which are obviously already passed, is when registration for new teams opens. And then August 1st is when the challenge sets begin to ship and you're able to build a mission model you see over there. This year, it was also when the challenge, which contains all the details about the project, the robot game, and the core values, was released. Around late September to early October, your team should be well underway doing their work, and by that time, registration will have closed. And then November to March is the tournament season. So you usually start with the regional tournament in November, and if you're past that, if you're one of the top teams there, usually there's a state tournament somewhere between December to March. And if you manage to score the top place in that, you go to the World Festival, which is this year, in April 2019. So as for cost, the cost is about $1,300. So it's comprised of first the team registration cost. So this year actually includes the robot game set to build all the mission models. So that's about $300. Then you have to purchase a Lego Mindstorms EV3 set, along with some other pieces such as the gyro sensor and special beam frames, pieces like that, to make sure the robots are as advanced as they can be. Next up, you have to register for competitions, so they're about $75 each, and also a practice event. Now, a practice event is optional, but I highly recommend that you go, since you'll get a lot of valuable experience from this. So the practice event is about $50. And then after that, you have to buy there's other expenses like the robot game table, which is $100, project supplies, which are another $100, and finally your team identity. So t-shirts, stickers that you give out, that's going to cost you around $150. So all around, it's about $1,300, but trust me, and as we'll learn later, it's totally worth it. Now let's talk about the FLL team participants. First off, there can be 2 or more adult coaches who will guide the team and lead the team throughout the entire season. Then there can be mentors, so these mentors can help out with technical aspects. For example, they can help out with building a robot, programming a robot, designing a project, maybe just designing the team identity. You can also bring in former FLL veterans to mentor your team. You can also have, and finally, last but not least, we have the team parents and the team members. I have no idea why it says grades over there. Yeah. So you can have anywhere from 2 to 10 team members. It's up to you. Generally, find that the best the golden value is around 4 to 6 members per team. And of course, if you really want to push the limits, you can always coach multiple teams. But like I said, 4 to 6 team members is usually the best. So now let's talk about the project. So some of you might have heard of the project as a place where teams solve a real-world problem with an innovative solution, right? So that's what the project is, right? I can go now, right? All you need is that. Just kidding, because that's that definition in itself raises a lot of questions. I mean, under that definition, couldn't one of your kids say, real world, here's a real world problem, kids can't go anywhere without their parents' permission, and here's what we're going to do about it. We are going to convince all parents all around the world to buy their kids a car. What do you mean? It's real. The problem's real world, and the solution's innovative, it's feasible, and it even has its own domain name. It's carskids.club. So get me that car, Mom. Obviously, this problem and solution won't work. Obviously, the project is way more complicated than that. So today, what we're going to tell you is instead of just to try to describe the project, we are going to tell you what to expect at each stage of the project, from when the challenge is released to your competition. So normally a team schedule would look like this, simple, right? You have 10 weeks to do the job, except this year, the challenge was released early. So in reality, you have 14 weeks. But right now, we're in the middle of it. So right now, it's around week 3 of the FLL season. So to help you pace things a bit, whether or not your team has already started on the project, we're going to tell you which week you should probably be doing things in. So we're going to tell you which week you should be researching, which weeks you should be designing your solution, which weeks you should be sharing to the world. So let's start off with the kickoff. So this is the first week, and this is when FLL has released their annual challenge guide. So each challenge guide is about a 30-page PDF document containing details about the project, the field setup, the robot game rules, and the missions. It's very important that you always read the current challenge guide, and here's why. So here's 2 challenges. Can anybody pinpoint a difference aside from the year? Nobody? Can somebody? There is a difference in there. I'll give you a hint in one of the steps. Yeah, Ava?
On the 2015 challenge, on number 1, it's find a problem. On 2014 challenge, on number 1, it's find a question.
Correct. You were the only one who picked up on that. But so yeah, you can see that the 2015 challenge says find a problem, whereas the 2014 challenge says find a question. And this is actually a very big but a very subtle difference. So it's important that you read the current challenge because, of course, with every year there will be subtle differences. And we don't know what the 2018 challenge will look like, right? Actually, yes, we do know. This year they're actually limiting the scope of the problem. So you can see, that instead of just telling you have your team choose a part of the human water cycle that interests them. Now they actually give a guideline, so it must be a human, physical, and social problem. It must concern long-duration space exploration, and it must be in our sun solar system. So keep in mind that this year they're actually limiting the scope of the project. They've also probably made a bunch of other changes as well. So when you get home, pop open the challenge FLL challenge guide and try to read at least maybe part of it. Right now, Marvin will talk about the next problem.
So we already know that we have to find a real world problem that relates to the theme. But not every problem is going to work. So you need to find problems that are widespread, meaning it affects more than just a small part of populations. For example, you can't say like people with the last name blank can't do blank because that only affects a very small percent of the population. They should be solvable realistically and legally. So you can't have a problem that requires 563 million firework boosters to solve because that wouldn't be solved legally. And then it has to be related to the challenge. Remember, it has to be a human, physical, and social problem in long-term space travel. So it can't be about some other random thing. And now you're probably asking, how is everybody on our team going to choose a problem? Well, this is how we usually do it. Every team member will come up with their own problem and will research it. Then the team members will present their potential problems, and then after the presentations, they will vote on which problems to do. And your job, the coaches, is to give your team members guidance as they choose the problem. And you have to remember that team members come up with the problem, not the coaches. Okay. And now we're going to talk about the problem that we did 2 years ago. So, let's do that. And here's the problem. Dogs and cats are mankind's best friend, but we live in a very busy world where the average person spends 9 hours at work each day. And also we take more vacations than ever. So this raises the question, what do our pets do when we're not at home? Well, this is what happens. They run away, they sit alone, or they just destroy your furniture. This is called separation anxiety. And this is a problem that we chose. At the beginning, we actually chose the problem of roadkill, but then we realized that that wasn't really feasible, so we switched to this. And then a very important part of this is to research. What do you research and where do you research it from? So, this is what you should research for quality. So, is this problem a good problem or not? You should research statistics. So, for example, how big is this problem? Do pets spend 1 hour alone or 5 hours or 10 hours alone? You want to know about scope. So, does this affect only 1% of the pets or 94% of the pets? And you also want to see, you want to find explanations so you can better understand your problem. And you should also research current solutions, and we'll talk about that later. And there are 6 main types of sources. There are primary sources, which are from people who have experienced it firsthand, such as personal experience, experts, and field trips. And then there are also secondary sources, people who have reported those people, like printed material, online resources, and surveys. And you should always have at least 4 different types of sources. So, printed material, okay. For example, books, magazines, and newspapers. This is very reliable because you don't have to go through a bunch of editors. But it might not be as comprehensive as you might want, and plus the books on your specific topic might be hard to find. Another type of resource is our online resources, such as websites, videos, and PDFs. They're very accessible, they're easy to use, and since the internet is so big, you can find a ton of information. However, these sites are not necessarily trustworthy because you can put anything on the internet and they can go down. So you don't want to use information from a website like this. Okay, so then another way you can research is from surveys. You make a survey and you give them to your family and friends and neighbors. And simple surveys are better because the people who are taking it wouldn't want to spend 5 hours doing the survey, and then they'll probably just either quit giving you not enough data or just or just put random numbers. And then this is a good form of outreach, plus it's rich in statistics. And but this is more work to distribute these, and you're only talking to a few people, so it has a limited scope. And if you're going to make a survey, you should use Google Forms. It's a very powerful tool for making and distributing surveys. And you can also do personal experience. You find people who have experienced a problem, and you interview them. This is a good form of outreach, and you get people who have experienced it firsthand. But it's more work to find these people and contact them. And very similar to personal experience, we have experts, people who are knowledgeable in the field. Again, you can interview them, and it's very trustworthy, and you can get a lot of knowledge, and it's more outreach. However, again, it's more work to find and contact them. Or you can take field trips, contact places that relate to your project, and then go there and take a tour. It's fun, it's a good form of outreach, you get lots of knowledge, it's very trustworthy, you get to experience it firsthand, and you get to take photos. But it's more work to find and contact them, plus you have to think about, is this going to fit everybody's schedule? Now, let's take a look at the research that we did. So we did 4 types of research: online research, reports, surveys, and experts. So online research. We used trustworthy online sources such as the Illinois College of Veterinary Science to get statistics. And then we also looked at this report, the U.S. Pet Ownership and Demographic Sourcebook, for more statistics. Then we conducted a survey of almost 200 pet owners to gain knowledge of their pets' behaviors. So, as you can see, most people said that their pet's happy when they play with them, and a great majority of the people said that they did not have anything to deal with the problem of separation anxiety, and also the plurality of people said that their pet does feel lonely. And then we also went to the Montvale Animal Hospital as one of our experts, and we learned that this small hospital sees 3 to 4 behavioral cases each week. And then we also went to the Bergen County Animal Shelter, where we learned that that a large percentage of their pets have behavioral issues. And now Anthony's going to talk about current solutions.
All right, so current solutions are how others are solving a problem. And as an FLL team, it's pretty important that you research these. Well, why? Because first off, knowing where other people have been helps you make your own solution, right? You don't want to just copy someone else's solution or make it seem like you copied someone else's solution. You also want to find the flaws in other people's solutions so that you can go and fix them. You also gives you a sense of the problem's difficulty. So if there's not as many current solutions, then you might then you might infer that the problem is pretty difficult to do. And finally, it's also required by the rubric. There is a section in there called Review Existing Solutions. You can't see it right now, but we will cover that later. You can use many of the same sources, but particularly Google, Amazon, and even Kickstarter or Indiegogo, crowdfunding sites like that, are pretty good sites to find current solutions for your problems. Here are the current solutions we found for our problem of separation anxiety. You can notice that each of them are pretty expensive, over $100, and that each of them all have their flaws. For example, Clever Pet, the first one on our list, doesn't have voice command, can't train pets to respond to voice commands, doesn't allow you to video chat with your pet, and can't move on its own. So we realized that an ideal solution would have to combine the benefits of all of these solutions and would have to beat these at price. So knowing these current solutions, it's now time for your turn to solve. It's time for your innovative solution. So there are 2 types of solutions that you can make for an FLL project. First, you can make a completely new solution, something the world has never seen before. Or you can improve, you can build upon an existing solution that you researched. Or even you can make a combination of both. It's up to your team, it's up to you. While making your solution though, don't forget about these 5 factors. First off, you want to consider feasibility. Is this realistic? Am I going to have 1,000 rocket boosters inside my rocket? You also want to consider potential issues. Does this solve more problems than it creates? For example, a project to terraform Mars wouldn't be a great solution. Wouldn't be a great project if it just causes pollution on Mars. You also want to consider cost. If it's too expensive for people who need it to pay for, then your solution might as well not exist. So you need to find ways to keep the costs down. And finally, you need to consider manufacturing and design. How will this idea become reality? How will we deploy this solution? How will this work? Will it be powered by unicorns? Keep in mind that you may or may not want to make a working prototype. Sure, a prototype is awesome and impresses the judges, but it's a lot of work and it can get quite complicated. But really, it is up to your team. However, careful, if you do decide to make a prototype and your team can't explain how it works because it's too complicated, judges will vote you down. That happened to us several times. Yeah. So let's talk about the solution that we made, combat separation anxiety. We find that it combines the best aspects of all the current solutions you mentioned earlier, and it's at an affordable price. So our solution is called the Pet Ball. It's a robot pet sitter. It can do 3 things. First, you can use it to set up a 2-way video chat between you and your pet, so you can see your pet can see you. You can talk to each other, however that may work. And what happened? Windows 10 is fun, right? Next, you can automatically play games, so even when you're not at home. So there are several games we plan to have on there, like laser pointer, chase, and even catch a mouse. And finally, you can train your pet using its speaker. Even while you're not at home. We plan to make this open to developers, so anyone can make games and training activities with the latest technologies for your pet to enjoy with one click. The enclosure was 3D printed by Bloomberg, and it contains an Android tablet to control the pet ball, a PIR sensor for detecting your pet, an LED strip to glow in pet-friendly colors, and a laser pointer to play with cats. On the bottom, we have 3 wheels, 1 caster, and 2 that drive our solution. Inside, we have an advanced treat dispenser as well as a myriad of electronics to keep your pet engaged. Our team designed it in Autodesk Inventor, and we also have a 3-layer software stack that includes a web app, an Android app, and software for a microcontroller. And even with all this advanced technology, we are still able to keep the cost down to $257. But if we do buy parts in wholesale and we mass produce this product, we can probably cut the cost down to about $100 and sell it for $150. All right, so now I'll have Aaron talk about the presentation.
The presentation is a way to present your whole project. Sure, you might have the best solution, but the presentation is a way to show your solution, your problem, and all the work that you've done in your project. So you should choose a style for your project. Is it professional?
Introducing the water bottle. Have you ever suffered the problem of acute dehydration? Well, the water bottle is a solution for you. Simply open up the smart plastic cap, take a swig, and enjoy the blockchain biometric technology hydrate your body. Never gonna get you.
Or skip.
Oh no, I'm really thirsty. What do I do?
Use the instant water bottle.
Yay!
It costs $20 and you're probably never drinking in your life. Here it says.
Yay!
So, as you see from that your presentation should be creative, reasonable, and clear. And our presentation is that we did a skit for a pit ball, and then it was.
So the video will play soon. We're just getting it all now.
We do, but wait, what's the video?
So like in the project now, they actually give you guys an idea about what the project do. So basically, the coach need to guide their team to go through the research process. So you need to, okay, inside your hand, you will say there's a judge rubric about the FL. So there's the 3 parts. One is for project. If you look at the project, there's several categories. So there have a research category. Yeah, there have a research category. So that's the reason we ask you, we usually guide the kids go through like to search online, to search a book, go to library search, or search from an article. That's they try to understand about what the problem, and you also can go to first-hand information by visit the problem, like people who suffer with that problem, or like we actually go to the animal shelter so that we can see the animal how like what the animals suffer for those problems, and you also can go to the manufacturing for those like the solution who solve those problems. So basically, you go through all this research the process, and then go back to search about what the current solution for the problem. And after you understanding the current solution, then you need to think about what's your solution. Maybe you can improve the current existing solution to the new solution you have. So this is all like the whole thing about the project. And then you need to develop the presentation. So the presentation, they just give you several ideas, like you become a writer, like a PowerPoint, this kind of professional presentation, or you can have a skit, like people have the kids to have like a show in front of a judge. It's actually, for the skit, it's very fun to watch, other than the professional. So it depends on what you're thinking. And also you can make it a musical, like you can make a song about your product or something. This is like all about different style of the presentations. Actually, last year when I judged in the FL, I saw there's one team used a puppy show, like have some, but this all kind of different style about to present your project. Now you guys can see what we did 2 years ago in the judge room when they stayed. Yeah.
Wow, those are very interesting facts. Well, let's go to the monitoring and talk about
Not to release this energy. And there are some excellent products on the market that can engage and monitor your pet when he is alone.
Wow, that's very interesting. Well, let's do some research on pet vibration. Let's do some research to compare the functions between some pet-saving devices. Clever Pet, Furbo, IC Cooch, and Puffball. Well, I'm looking for a device that is both very capable and cheap. Well, Clever Pet and Furbo are way over my budget, costing near $300 each. Wow, Puffball is very cheap, costing at $150. That combines features such as voice command, two-way video, treat dispenser, app control, mobility, and games into one simple yet compact device. Well, let's check out their website. Here's a design video.
pet ball consists of 3 key features: video chat, games, and training. Using our web app, any owner can start a video chat from their computer or phone. Inside our crystal clear two-way video and audio chat, owners can drive the pet ball to find their pet, see their pet, play and chat with their pet, and even dispense a treat. The pet ball also comes stocked with a variety of games to keep your pet engaged. Some games allow restless pets to chase the pet ball, while other games take advantage of the laser pointer and the tablet touchscreen. Other developers will be able to add their own games to our open source code. Finally, the pet ball can train your pet to respond to voice commands such as sit, stay, stand, and more, using 3 sets of words, all without the hassle of hiring a trained professional. So that's the pet ball, a combination of those 3 features into the only innovative device that supports all these features and keeps your pet happy at home.
The basic design of pet ball is a half sphere with the left side cut off, which prevents pets from chewing on it and helps maintain balance. Using an effective system of discs, we created a flawless treat dispenser inside pet ball. On the outside, we have an PIR sensor, a movable laser pointer, dozens of LEDs, and of course a slot for the Android tablet and 2 wheels for mobility. In the inside of pet ball, we have an Arduino microcontroller, voltage regulator, and motor controller. Everything was designed by our team in Autodesk Inventor. The top portion was 3D printed by Bloomberg for us, and the bottom portion was laser cut into wood. Our software consists of 3 parts: the web app coded in JavaScript, the Android app coded in Java, and our special Arduino software. The price combined will be about $250. By using wholesale, we can easily cut that to $150. Combining all these pieces creates the unbeatable solution to separation anxiety, pet ball.
Our journey to research and develop the pet ball was a long one, and all we used about 4 types of research. We first began by researching about separation anxiety online. Then, we used the report, the 2012 Pet Ownership and Demographic Sourcebook, to further understand separation anxiety. Then we crafted a survey that reached about 200 people, where we found out that 54% of them believed that pets were lonely, and 82% of them didn't use a solution. Then we visited Bloomberg's engineering team, the Montpet Animal Hospital, and the Berkeley County Animal Shelter to learn about pets' behavior issues, current solutions, and receive expert-level advice on our product. After creating the prototype, we then presented our solution back to Bloomberg's engineering team and the Montpet Animal Hospital.
After the Dragonite showed us their pet ball, we immediately saw its potential, from improving the lives of lonely pets to helping pets recover. We can't wait to see what the pet ball will become in the near future.
We tested the pet ball on a very active dog. The results were impressive. Let's check on one of our customers, Cookie's owner.
After using the pet ball, I've seen so many positive changes in Cookie's behavior. Now he seems so much happier than before. The end.
Thanks for watching! And any questions?
So that presentation, we're not sure how yet, but it did go on to win the project presentation category at the state competition. So yeah, that year they won the #1 presentation in the New Jersey state.
So you have your presentation. Now you have to spread it out throughout. So who should you outreach to? So what you can do is schools, companies, the experts you contact, and basically anybody that could benefit from your solution. So how we shared the pet ball with the Bloomberg engineering team, and then we also shared it with the animal hospital, where we found out most of our information on separation anxiety. And lastly, we tested our solution on a very hyperactive dog, which actually worked out very well.
So you've been through the entire project, you've came up with the problem, you've researched it, you've found how people are already solving it, and then you've added your ideas, your own 2 cents into the mix. And then after that, you've made a presentation for it and shared it. And now it's finally time for the competition. So before the tournament, in the weeks leading up to it, you should do these 5 things. First, make a poster board, like this one, which describes the entire process of your project. Also, make sure whatever presentation you make is under 5 minutes, including setup time. Judges won't usually penalize you if you go a few seconds over, but it's generally best to keep that under 5 minutes. Also, practice, 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 unlike what we did for this presentation. You will want to practice and make sure your presentation is memorized down cold. Also, prep for Q&A. Judges will be asking you questions after your presentation is over. So remember to maybe prepare some answers to common questions that you think the judges are going to ask. And finally, if you have time, make sure to write a project. Distribute after the tournament itself.
Okay, so now you're at the tournament. So what should you do? So, okay, you should always have 2 team members at the pit area while the rest of your team members are checking out all the other teams' projects. Because those 2 people should be able to present your project to anybody who passes by. No matter if it's a competitor, a parent, a coach, or even the judge. And if you prepared any, you should also hand out those brochures and stickers. And
when you're presenting, when you're giving your presentation, smile at the judges as they will play. Answer the questions they have, and when you're on your way out, shake hands. It's very nice to do so.
Alright, now let's talk about how judges judge. So judges judge using FLL specially designed for judging product judging. That was all. So the first part of this rubric concerns your problem, your research, and the current solutions that you found. So to score well in this category, you have to identify a problem and explain it clearly. You have to have researched it from multiple angles and from multiple sources of information. You also need to have analyzed the problem and have a deep understanding of the problem. And finally, you of course have to review your existing solution. So that's down here. It's the 4th yellow box on your, the 4th row on your rubric.
And you can see there's actually 4, each category they have 4 different scores. So the judge usually circle which level like your team fell in. Yeah.
The next section concerns your innovative solutions. So to score well in this category, you have to have explained your solution clearly, actually have added value, have extra novelty for your solution, with your solution to those who can benefit. You also need to have considered all 5 of those factors we talked about earlier: feasibility, credential issues, cost, manufacturing, and design, in order to score well in all 3 of these. And finally, the last section concerns presentation and outreach. Notice how sharing is the only row in this rubric with a star. That's because it's required. You have, in order to be considered for an award, you have to share your project with other people who could benefit. Additionally, your presentation must be creative and effective at explaining what your project is all about. So this is the judging rubric, and this concludes most of the process. Now, I'll give some final tips. First off, don't be afraid to restart. We did when we changed the problem from roadkill to separation anxiety. We had to redo like weeks of research and brainstorming, but we did, and it actually worked out really well. Also, pick based on your team's interests. Don't pick a problem or solution that seems the easiest, because for your team to actually follow through a project and actually solve the problem and share it with the world, your team will need to be passionate. Not just your team will your team will have to be passionate about the problem. And then finally, be creative. Like in the entirety of FLL and the world, the sky is the limit, or the moon. For this entire school system in facing this challenge. Now we'll have Marvin and Aaron talk about their experience, and we'll let Megabots too talk about their experiences during the project.
So, before I did Junior FLL and FLL, I barely had any public speaking skills, but now after presenting in front of judges, I feel like I'm better at doing presentations. I also got better at researching the problems that we found.
So before I start first, I believe I can barely speak in front of 5 people and have the jitters. However, I learned many things from first language. I learned how to public speak in front of people. I learned how to research they researched a problem properly, and they also learned many programming and building skills. Those they could have never learned without First, I believe.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. Now, yeah, we met the. We're from the Macabots.
From the team. So, before we begin, I'd like to give a brief history of my team. We started in 2015 and we meet in the basement of our high school. During our first season, we were number 23 out of 25 teams during the individual tournament. Second season, we got number 1 in web design and number 2 in woodworking during the individual. And during our third season, we were number 1 in project and we made it to states and we were number 1 in programming in the state championship. This trophy is actually the programming award we got from the state championship. Nice. So, why did you join FLL? Well, FLL has many learning opportunities for us. Skills one includes programming from programming, public speaking, and communication. Many of these skills are useful in day-to-day life, school, and extracurricular activities. We get to build a program with programming robots. Over the 3 seasons that I've been on Megabots, I've learned these valuable skills. Teamwork. You need to learn how to work with a team in order to solve problems and get tasks completed. Working under pressure. You have 2.5 minutes to complete all your missions in the robot game. So you need to learn how to work under pressure. Public speaking. When presenting your robot design and project to judges, you need to learn how to speak clearly and confidently to make your presentation better. Researching skills. In order to solidify your project, you need to have enough evidence. You need to learn how to cite credible sources online and conduct surveys. Resource utilization. If multiple tasks need to be completed, you must learn how to split up your team and to get problem solved efficiently. And finally, programming. You need to program the robot to do missions. So, in my experience, the major difficulties are prioritizing tasks, compromising, and commitment. So, in prioritizing tasks, if you've been working on a mission for the whole season, but someone is not working or you don't have enough time to complete it, it can be hard letting go. So, prioritizing tasks becomes a problem. Compromising. If you're in a room of 6 to 10 kids, it's going to be hard for them to agree. And finally, commitment. Towards the end of the season, my team usually has 2 to 3 meets a week. So I need to separate time for FLL among my schoolwork and other activities. My team's core values in 3 years. During our first season, we tried to understand why FLL wasn't just robotics. We didn't have a presentation plan for the coordinators. During our second season, we reached out to more seasoned teams and started to apply FLL skills to our life and school. And during our third season, we worked with other teams and promoted FLL to families. We started to understand the overall values of FLL. The Megabots projects in 3 years. During our first season, our project was complicated. We had little research and limited understanding of the project rubrics. During our second season, we talked with professionals and did research, but our project was too expensive to be made into a trial version to showcase. During our third season, based on a solid understanding of the rubrics, we presented our ideas to professionals, interviewed residents, and conducted surveys.
The final idea was supported by local residents, and it was feasible. Megabot's robots in 3 years. During our first season, our robot was purely mechanical. No sensors or mind blocks, which is a programming function. We built a primitive robot using the instructions that came with the Lego set. During our second season, we used 2 color sensors and an ultrasonic sensor, as well as a gyro sensor. We used big wheels, lots of mind blocks, and adapted a robot design we found on YouTube. During our third season, we used the same robot base and added lots of mobile attachments. We used too many mind blocks.
Thank you, Connor. Appreciate it. So we're also here to talk about being a coach.
Did I look like an idiot?
Just got some high-level points
use
here.
so too much?
Coaching for
Did I
3
use
years,
so
going on to our 4th year with my wonderful other coach,
So
Sullivan
much?
here.
Did I use
And,
so much?
we've done very well, and we've progressed every year. Some key things. Some of these are important messages that we got from amazing other coaches. So one of your key responsibilities is helping with the discipline during the meetings. Let's face it, you've got a room of 6 to 10 kids. One kid starts talking about Fortnite, or one kid starts talking about, whatever the newest video game, TV show, wherever, and they all start drifting, right? So what you need to do is you need to bring them back in on topic. You don't have to yell, you don't have to anything. You can say, guys, we can talk about that later. Maybe you take a break halfway through. If you're doing a 2-hour session, maybe an hour in, you take a break and let them socialize for a bit, and then you let them come back in and focus. So it's just like how people break things up during the school day. Homework between meetings. This is very important. You heard all these topics about researching, conducting surveys, doing all this effort. This effort needs to be done between your meetings. You need to break off and everybody get their own assignments, and they need to get it done by the next meeting. If you try to cram everything into a 1 to 2 hour session per week, you're not going to have enough time to get it done. People need to understand that. So by the end of a team meeting, you should have responsibilities filled out. Now that does not mean you as a coach have to be taking these notes and assigning it. The kids can take it upon themselves. Maybe you provide some guidance. Hey, can someone take notes about this and tell? We actually, this last year, we started sending out emails to the team, a summary of what happened and what we're trying to do next, except for it wasn't the coaches sending out this email. It was the actual kids. Your job is to give them guidance, right? Try to help them along. Think about how you, in a working environment, would want this presented, how you would want this communicated, have them learn to do the same thing. It's amazing what these children can do when you give them just a little bit of guidance and just let them run with it. Solving conflicts. As Connor pointed out earlier, it's not always easy to get everybody to agree on something. So you have to try to do some level of conflict resolution from time to time. Over a little bit of time, as everybody gets to know each other, everybody understands how everybody else works, conflicts don't happen. But early on, everybody's still feeling each other out, especially if it's a new team. And sometimes kids can get heated, believe it or not. And your job is to say, make sure everybody understands each other's point of view. You try to embrace the core values. If you, as a coach, show the core values, the kids might pick it up for themselves. If you don't display the core values, the kids will definitely follow your lead. Time management. Connor actually brought up a great point. Sometimes you get tunnel vision. You try to focus on doing one particular robot mission and it's not working. It's very important to be cognizant of the time. The robot mission is 2.5 minutes, right? So you have to think to yourself, what, we're spending all this time and this mission isn't working and it's taking us 2 minutes and 15 seconds. We're gonna end up with a score of 0. You have to analyze that. You also have to be aware that the season is only so long. You know when you get your missions, your challenges, you know when the event is. You got to block out that time in advance. If you try to get everything done the week before the competition, it's going to be really tough. You have to really prepare in advance. Cheerleaders. Using core values, you embrace what the kids are doing, you encourage them, allow them to fail. They're going to fail left and right. They're going to try to design something with Legos that is a perfect picture in their head, and when they try to make it work in reality, it's not going to work. That's okay. Say, oh, that's interesting. That's a shame that didn't work. Do you think we can make it better? Do you think we should try something else? Just guide them in the right direction. Chauffeurs, this is very important. So anytime there's an event coming up, you need to communicate with the other parents ahead of time, because if you got 6 to 10 kids, you got to get them all to the event. So make sure you communicate with the parents ahead of time saying, hey, listen, we need, we're gonna all be showing up to this event. The event starts here. I recommend we all leave by, an hour and a half before when the event has to be there. Who can help drive the kids there? It's very important to have that planned in advance. Practice before tournaments. Make sure you're prepared. If you're doing a project, you practice ahead of time. You have them demonstrate to you and the other parents in the team, or maybe other people in town. You do it as many times as you can so they get comfortable with it. You don't want to go into a competition just doing it blind for the first time. Attend events. So there was a mention during the cost breakdown at the very beginning that there are practice events. This is important for a couple of reasons. First of all, the kids get used to the format of the events. It's very important to understand the format. The other important thing is the kids are going to design, they get the challenge map and they get bags of parts. Those bags of parts are used to make the obstacles and objectives on the map, as you guys will see back there. Often they will get built wrong, and until you go to a practice event, you won't realize that, oh, we built it slightly wrong and the behavior of this is completely different than we expected. We need to go back and fix it. It's very important because we every year this happens to us. We find out we built one of the devices wrong, and the way we were handling the mission was completely incorrect. If we had not gone to the practice mission and we went just to the final competition, we would have been completely blindsided by that. 2 parent presence. I highly encourage this. When a coach is coaching the team, often a child might need to use the restroom, or one group of kids needs some focus and another group of kids needs some focus. Doing it with just one parent in the room, or one parent / coach in the room, can be very difficult. I always recommend that there's at least 2 parents, preferably a parent from 2 different families, engaged. Set up a sign-in sheet way ahead of time and say, hey, I need 1 extra hand to help this weekend. Set it up on a Google form online and have people volunteer. And that way you always, first of all, it allows the other parents to get more involved and see what they're doing. Second of all, it allows distribution of workload. And finally, embrace and learn from failures. I can't stress this enough. You're going to go to events. The first year we did terribly with the robot. One of the biggest things is we got more comfortable with how the overall event went. We didn't quite understand what we needed to present for the projects. We didn't quite understand how little time 2.5 minutes was. All these things, if we didn't participate at all, we wouldn't have learned. It also allows the kids to see how other teams participate, and they say, oh, that's interesting, that's interesting, that's interesting, and they get to learn a lot from it. So these are just some points I wanted to bring up. We found these to be highly invaluable, and I wish you all the best of luck for this upcoming year.
Excuse me, so I just want to add one more thing. Again, I'm one of the coach with my husband in Megabyte. It's 4th season. I want to say thank you to Jenny. I want to recognize her, just for people not from Ridgewood, for introducing us this wonderful, socially responsible and highly self-sustaining program. The reason for me to say is sometimes we talk about it's FLL only about spend hours in the basement. No, it's way beyond that. There's so much facilities, and it's such a good supplementary curriculum for all of us, in addition to what you can learn from school. And I cannot thank her enough for bringing this wonderful initiative to our community. Because of that reason, our kids started to learn, work with other kids, public speaking, and then learn to look to the future, and even to be able to look into any possibility, including, at a very young age, work with real professionals. So this is truly wonderful program. And I also recognize not only Chinese families, the entire local community, because Jenny's initiative. So I really want us to give her a positive thank you.
It is really true, because I actually just talked to one parent. He is not here, actually. Yeah, he's the first year coaching this year. But after he worked with his team for these 2 months, he found out his child listened to him more and more, because as a coach, the child found out, oh, at the beginning, the child questioned the coach a lot, but after the coaching process, the child found, oh, there's his parents actually a lot of the right. So it's tending to listen to you more as a parent. Yeah. So
we are doing that. Can I add something more? I'm the mother of Marvin. So basically, he started getting interested in it like when he was second grade. At that time, he was doing a junior FLL. So we joined a team in first he was junior in kids. And there is like an MIT grad, an engineer, PhD. Like she organized everything. It's a great community to work with. But the thing is, the schedule doesn't work for us. So that's why we came here. And then I found out Jenny was doing this. I learned a lot from her. And then the next year, I started out a team, obviously, with Jenny's help. Without her, I didn't even want to think about it. And what I found out was like, I coached for the whole year and then I mentored for another year. I realized not only the kids, I learned a lot myself. It helped a lot in my work because before, I'm a technical person, I'm a software developer. I enjoy working with machines better than working with people. But especially for the kids. My kid may be okay, but other kids, no way. I have no patience, I always think that way. But by doing this whole thing, I realized that like by learning all those things, the core values, I didn't at first, I thought that's just part of bureaucracy, right? Why would I care about those? Like in my workplace, I don't care about those. But then after like really you feel it, you organize things, you work with the kids, you things working, not working, you really, really appreciate this whole setup, what the kids can learn, and for myself. I view my work relationship differently. And also, I feel obviously positively I grow like in my career and also grow with the kids. Hope that helps. Like because this is a coach meeting. Really,
Yeah. So hi, I'm Eddie. I'm a rising senior in high school in Bergen County Academies, and I'm in the. I did FLL for 5 years from 4th to 8th grade, and now I'm actually doing FRC, which is the higher level first program in high school. So I'm here to talk to you about the robot game, which is probably one of the most well-known parts of FLL, which you can see back there in that mat. And but I mean, as you've seen from earlier today, the robot game is obviously not the main part of FLL, but it's still really fun for like other kids to see, and it's like I think it's the most public part of FLL. It's pretty cool. So does anyone? I mean, obviously we all have like a general idea of what the robot game is, but basically what happens every year is there's a challenge that's released, usually in September, this year's in August, and it's kind of inspired by the challenge theme. So this year's theme name is Into Orbit. And because of this, there's a lot of space-themed missions, and missions where you have to like, solve some problems in space, or like, there's a spacewalk mission. There's missions where you have to kind of collect samples or like do 3D printing, and they're all related to the mission theme. And each mission awards points if you're able to complete them. And basically, the way that robots are scored is it's basically just by the number of points. And every mission you do gives you more points, and the team with the most points at the end does the best. In specifically the robot game, not in everything else. So during the season related to the robot game, you have to build and program robots, and eventually the robot performance is actually not the only part of the robot game. There's also a robot design portion. So the robot has to perform well and also be well thought out and well designed, and you need to be able to explain it well to the people. So there are, as I said, there's two parts to the robot game. There's robot performance and robot design. And the robot performance is the part that is probably the most exciting. So your robot has to complete missions on a field, and you get 2.5 minutes to do all the missions, as you've heard previously. And basically, during the competition, you get 3 different chances to do this. So there are 3 different time slots that they give you to go to the field and do a mission, do the robot performance thing, and your highest score out of those 3 is taken. So it's very lenient. So if your robot breaks in one of them, it's not the end of the world, because you can just do it again. And if you get a higher score then they take the highest. It's not the average or the median, it's the highest. But the probably more involved part of it is this robot design, because it's an actual official judging setting. You go into a judging room, and the judges will ask you questions about the robot, and they'll sometimes they'll ask you to do 1 or 2 missions, then do a few runs, and then you kind of need to talk about your game strategy, so how you're planning out your missions, how you're doing each of the missions, and then talk about your robot design principles. So if you made it modular, or if you made it what's special about your robot? And then also sometimes we usually actually bring in, I'm not sure, there's a board over there, there's a blue one that's on the ground, and you can see on the sides of it, we actually printed out a bunch of our programs, and you either print them out or you can bring a computer in and basically show them how you're programming it and some of the more interesting parts of the program. And yeah, the mandatory you have to show the programming in the poster. It's not mandatory to show it on the poster. I don't think it's even mandatory to bring a poster. It might have changed, but just prepare for the judge. But yeah, I mean, in general, you want to make it as easy for the judges as possible to, these judges want to advocate for your team, and you want to make it as easy as possible for them to be able to do that. So usually, actually, in addition to our poster, we bring in a packet of printed pages. So we have a summary of the robot, and we tell them what's special about the robot in a written summary. And then we also give them a few pictures of the programs, and we kind of just stable it together and give that to each of the judges so they can pass their materials to them. But it's not
in the judge room, because it's only have 7 minutes when you guys meet with judge. So basically, the judge will.
That's in addition to the 2.5 minutes, right?
Yeah, the performance is in the gym. You guys do the competition together with the robots to get the points. But the robot design is happening in the judge room. So you need to fully explain what is a robot, and how you design it, and why you design it, the strategy. And for the programming part, definitely the judge will question about your programming, because so it's save the time. You print it out because you only have 7 minutes to meet with judge. So if you at that time you open the computer, bring up it take about 30 seconds for doing that. Basically waste your own judging time. Yeah, so it's better to print it out so that just point to the judge, explain faster. Yeah, that's it.
And again, the robot performance and robot design part is completely separate. So robot performance is in gym, and it's not there's no judges there. But sometimes the judges will be watching, but usually it's a referee that will be there that takes a look at your robot and then scores you afterwards, and it goes up to the board. But the robot design is a much more formal process. Yeah.
The mission the robot going to accomplish has something to do with the project?
Yeah, so it's all tied around one unified theme. So this year into orbit, and I'm gonna actually go through a few different types of missions.
But the project and the robot is totally different.
Totally different.
Totally different. Yeah, the project is your invention. It's not related to you do not need to do the technology side. You do not need to involve any kind of programming. You do not need to have a prototype. Yeah, the thing is whatever you design. For example, there's one team 1 year, they designed a shoeless. How to tie the shoeless. So that year thing is learning things, work learning. So basically you have one challenge, want to solve one learning problem. So one team they did is, it's very hard to teach kids how to tie the shoe. So basically their invention is to color coded each section about the shoulders, and then they come up with full instruction to teach the kids how to tie the shoe. So that is one project. So that team actually end up into the world competition. Yeah.
And their robot piece has nothing to do with that.
Nothing to do with it. Separate project.
I was going to say the robot mission and the robot design, those the missions and the robot design are directly connected. You're presenting your robot that is doing the missions. The project is completely orthogonal to that, right? They're both based on the same theme, well set, unified theme, but that's the only thing they have in common. It has nothing. The project has nothing to do with the robot otherwise.
They're orthogonal, but they're also completely okay. So basically, so when you're doing the robot design or robot performance, there's a few different generally every year there's a few different types of missions that you can need to do. And the missions are laid out on this field. This is what the field for this looks like that I'm sure you've seen before. And the robot has to, usually there's like a few different types of actions that you're asked to do. So sometimes the mission can be as simple as going to a certain place and doing, like driving over something or driving into an area. Or sometimes, in some areas, there'll be some missions where you have to like drive all the way to this wall and touch this wall at the end of the 2.5 minutes. But sometimes it's a little more complicated. Sometimes if you go somewhere and get an object and bring it back to base, sometimes you're going to have to move an object from base to somewhere or move an object from somewhere else to somewhere. And then sometimes you have to like push things or push things a certain way or a certain distance or push things really hard. There's a pretty wide variety, but in general there's like one or two simple actions to do. And this is where like when you first get the challenge, this is where the first element of strategy kind of comes in. So since you only have 2.5 minutes, you need to really be able to strategize and pick the missions that you want to do. And I'm going to touch on this a little bit more later, but in general, just keep in mind that you don't, only the very best teams will do all of them. And usually, as a first-year team, maybe 3 or 4 missions will already be good. And when you get more advanced, then you can start branching out and doing more missions. But at first, maybe 3 or 4 okay. And but one thing that's special about FLL is there's always one shared mission, and what that means is actually through the next slide. There's the way that the competition is laid out. So this is basically gym, and at home you'll only have one of these tables, but at the competition there's 2 tables laid out right next to each other, and they're it's like you have base on the opposite sides, and there's a shared wall between it. And there's always one mission that kind of hangs out in the middle here between the 2 walls, and this is where you need to cooperate between. You need cooperation between both of these teams in order to do these missions, do the middle mission. So you kind of need to. That's like an extra element of surprise that you might choose not to do it, but if you do choose to do it, you need to think about how you're going to strategize with the other team, or you need to think about how you're going to like what your decisions are related to do. So yeah. So. I'm just going to go through a few examples or case studies of missions this year. So the first one that I wanted to say, which is pretty unique, is this ball shooting mission. So this is, I think it's like meteoroid shooting. And you have to kind of stand, this is like one of the more unique types of missions because it's a more complicated action. So there's a line over here on the field, which is marked in black. And your robot has to stand behind here and basically shoot one of these meteoroids into this goal. And there's a middle goal, and there's also side goals that are worthless. And that's the shooting type of mission. Then there's also like more standard types of missions where, like for example, this habitation thing over here, which is in the middle here. And this is actually one of the harder types of missions, but this is the more standard, like getting things and like putting things into slots. And there's actually a secondary mission on there that is also involved. It also involves getting a thing and putting it somewhere. And then another type of mission is this escape velocity thing, which is located over here. And this is a pressing type of mission where you have to press the orange thing really, really hard or really fast to get enough kinetic energy. Get enough, energy to lift the station all the way to the top, so it stays on this. It stays on this flat part of the top. And then a more simple mission is over here, where you have to drive your robot over a thing, over like this, a little bit of a Lego obstacle to push. There's a little beam over there, and you have to push the axle down so the flat base is up. And that's a more simple like driving or navigation mission. And then finally, the shared mission over here is the solar panel array, which you kind of have to decide with the other team, or kind of just decide amongst yourself, your own team, to kind of how you're going to position the solar panel. So, if both of the team solar panels are positioned in the same position, you'll get 22 points for both teams. And there's a few different arrangements that'll score differently. You kind of need to decide based on that. And one more thing is the aerobic exercise, and this is kind of a more special type of mission because this one you can choose how much time you want to do this mission. So basically, the object of the mission is pushing pushing this handle thing, and the more you push it, the more this counter will advance. So it's kind of like doing actual exercise. And there's a like a slider thing on the mat, and it'll there's a pointer that will advance along the slider, and there's a few different scoring zones on that slider. And if the pointer advances farther, then you score more. But the problem with that is if you want to score higher, then you need to spend more time over there doing it. So that's a trade-off that you want to make between time spent and also points that you earn. And it's also kind of difficult too because the lowest scoring region is the largest, and they only differ by like 2 points each. So you kind of need to decide whether you're going to make it, if you want to get the extra 4 points to go all the way to the end, or if you want to just go directly to the beginning and get the 4 points less than you would by spending a lot more time on it. So obviously these are not all the missions. These are only a small subset that I picked to kind of illustrate the variety of missions that you're going to be seeing on the map. So are there any questions about anything that I talked about? Like, don't worry, this is just kind of this general introduction to what the variety that you're going to be seeing. And hopefully you guys already know. Yeah, so, yeah.
Should you try to do all the missions?
Oh yeah, no, definitely not. So as I was saying, first year team, 3 or 4 missions is probably good enough. And actually 3 or 4 missions is really good. We had a team that did, I think, 3 and they were 8th place. Because they were able to do it really consistently. So over like quality over quantity, obviously. So if you're able to do something really, really consistently, it's better to do that than to spread yourself too thin and do way too many missions. Yeah, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about strategy and how you're going to want to pick the missions, and how you're going to what you want to think about when you're actually choosing the types of missions that you want to do a little bit later. So. Yeah, are there any questions about robot performance before we move on to robot performance? Like specifics or mission-wise? And actually, this year, to give you a little bit of context, I think the maximum number of points you can get is 358. So, but I think most teams this year are going to get around. Actually, it's hard to predict, but I think the average, like, if you get maybe 150 points, that's really good already. So, okay, so the next part of the robot part of FLL is the robot design competition. So when you go to the robot design judging room, you're going to show your judges the robots. The judges are going to take a look at the robots, and you're going to have to kind of give a pitch, like a 1 minute elevator pitch about your robot to the judges. So you tell them, you know, maybe you named your robot, or maybe there's something special about it. Like maybe you put, it's like a really modular design. You can really quickly switch out the attachments, or maybe it's like so there's something about the building that's really strong or secure, and it's just like a really unique gearing system or drivetrain, and you basically just show them your robot and you tell them what's special about it. And then you might show them your program, and then you get graded on this rubric that will kind of encompass all the different parts of your robot. And yeah, it'll kind of encompass all the different parts of your robot. So it's split up into mechanical design, programming, and then strategy and innovation. And yeah, we're going to get into a little more detail into what these are parts. So yeah, so mechanical design, programming, strategy, and innovation. And so the first category is mechanical design, and there's a few subcategories under this main category that you're going to be graded on. And these include durability, mechanical efficiency, and also mechanization. So what that means is, well, durability is pretty self-explanatory. Basically, they're going to try to see if your robot is solidly built, try to see if it's, you know, if there's something that's shaking, or if there's something that's, if it's able to perform, well, this is not consistency, but this is more just, you know, how well it's built. The mechanical efficiency is, you know, how simple it is, how, or not simple, but how effective it is at doing what it's supposed to do in terms of mechanical efficiency. So like, how efficient it is at doing what you want it to do. And then mechanization is basically how well integrated your different parts, the different moving parts of your robot are. So how well, like if you have an elevator, you know, how easy is it to put on, or how well designed is it? So just in general, a few tips in order to kind of maximize the performance in the mechanical design category is Well, first of all, you want to follow basic building principles. So you want to make sure that you're reinforcing everything multiple times. And after you build it, it might help to kind of do a little, not too much, but a little drop test to make sure that your robot doesn't completely fall apart. Because you also want to, it's not only for robot design, but also for robot performance, you want it to be stable so you can do the missions really consistently and so it doesn't just fall apart. And this is not something that you necessarily need to, as coaches, tell your do for your team members. But if your team members come out with like a design, then when you're going through like this quality control process, then you can kind of give them suggestions to maybe this thing seems a little wobbly. You might want to like reinforce that a little bit, or maybe something seems a little bit too. It doesn't seem like it would stay when you're going to be doing this mission. Or specifically this year, there's also like a strength bar thing where you have to lift up a bar, and you want to make sure specifically for that too that you have everything that's strong and that it won't break while you're trying to do it. So these are actually kind of sub-points underneath that. So you want redundant reinforcement, and you also want multiple pegs per connection. So what that means is there's like a few you're using a lot of beams when you're building your robot, which are these things with the holes in them. And when you connect them, you use these things called pegs, and you want to put multiple pegs per connection where you're connecting two beams together, or else it'll be wobbly, or it won't even stay in place. So in general, you want to do maybe two is the minimum, because if you do one, then you only define one point. If you do two, at least you can define a line and it'll stay in the same spot. And as part of mechanical design too, you want to make sure that your robot is balanced and symmetrical. So this goes to do two things. So the first thing is it looks nice. And then the second thing is it also helps your robot go straight. So if your robot is not balanced properly and it's more weight on one side, then it's most likely going to curve because one motor is able to, there's more weight on one motor than the other. So you want to make sure that it's balanced and your center of gravity is near the center of your robot. And then you also want to make it not overly complex. So you want to make it kind of simple enough that you can easily, if something breaks, you can easily fix it quickly. And then if you want to switch something out, you want to quickly be able to do that. And that also goes for accessibility. So you want to be able to just do everything quickly and iterate and fix things to the So are there any?
Yeah, and also there's some kind of boards you need to, for example, you need to charge your robot so that everything you need to easy to access. Like you also all the plug-in, when you design the robots, they don't cover those like outlets, those kind of things.
Yeah. So are there any questions about mechanical design?
Is there a requirement for the size of the robotics?
Well, basically the requirement is that the robot has to fit in base, which is kind of a quarter circle this year. And also sometimes there's a volume requirement or a height requirement, but I would read the manual to make sure that. Because it changes every year. Like 1 year there's a height requirement for the volume. Some years you can build as high as you want, and then some years, there's you'll see it when you go back there, but there's this quarter circle area in the back.
Where could we find this requirement?
So on the challenge, when you read when you go to the first website, you will see these challenge documents. It's in the same place that this whole mission and everything.
Yeah, we can show you at the end. Yeah, you have to read those requirements. Yeah, because every year they update. Some year they have a limit like 16 inches the tall of your robot. Some year they remove that. So every year they different.
It'd be great if all the team members read the entire thing, but at least as coaches, you guys should probably read make sure that you
are you required to use standard parts, or you can use your customized parts?
Well, you have to use only Lego parts for this. So you can use any Lego part that's been released over the entirety of Lego, but you're not allowed to 3D print something and put it on there. Or you're not allowed to, even like a rubber band, you have to use a Lego rubber band. Well, there's actually a team that was penalized for that in the practice competition, which is also why you go to practice competitions. So you make sure that
and not take place.
No. Yeah, those 3D printed Legos.
You're also not allowed to use Lego bricks or modify Lego bricks other than cutting strings or string tubing. So you're not allowed. So you're only allowed to use Lego bricks in original factory condition.
Yeah, you can't drill to a Lego brick. If you want to make a hole somewhere, you can do that.
You can't.
Yeah, another thing is you cannot hot glue or you cannot use to glue them together to try to make the robot stronger. Or you can use tape.
Sorry. Yeah, you can't, unless you can find Lego tape.
Lego tape is a thing.
So basically, just to show kind of more pictures for robots if you want to take a look. I think, well, you're going to see a robot with megabots later, but this specifically is, this is a little smaller robot that you might want to, like usually I don't recommend building something like this because there aren't that many places to attach your attachments to besides the front over there. But I think generally a few things to know from this is first of all, you want to make sure you have traction on the wheels, you need your proper wheels. And then you want to also maybe put a color sensor to like go to there. So you're able to follow lines or you're able to detect colors in the field. And which we're also going to talk about a little later. So putting sensors in a robot is also pretty important. But yeah, I guess this is a really small robot if you want to kind of start small and do something, but usually I recommend doing a larger robot type robot. So kind of not maybe not as extreme as this. but like this one is basically where the brick is in the middle, and then you can see you have these things over here, which are attachment points, where you're able to kind of just drop in an attachment, and it'll instantly attach to there's motors underneath this thing. So it's like a quick release or a quick attach system where you can just drop on an attachment, and it'll instantly, hopefully it'll mesh with the gear things that you have over here, and it'll be able to drive your attachment. And what's interesting about this too is there's also these walls on the side, and what that will let you do is later we're also going to talk a little bit about positioning, and this will help you kind of square up against the objects in the map because your robot, moving your robot is inherently imprecise. So you're going to be able to, with these walls, hit against the walls of the map, or hit against the walls of the field, or maybe hit against one of the division parts, and be able to know that your robot is perpendicular to each of the feet of the field that you're going to be hitting against. And this one is kind of, this one is one that I would probably be more inclined to recommend, because it's not as extreme of an outside, but you're still able to square against something. And what's interesting too is that there's kind of like this chamfered edge at the edges of each of the sides. So there's kind of, you go like this, and there's a curve. There's a little bit of a straight thing over here, and there's another thing over there. And what that will let you do is, if you're not perfectly, if you're a little bit off from the wall when you're trying to square it up against it, it'll give you a little bit of wiggle room so it doesn't like hit against it. And also, you can see that you have, again, this gear over here that'll make it easy for you to just drop an attachment and like create these holes over there, and it'll measure that here. And the same thing goes for over here. So you also want easy attachment points, and things that you can easily create.
Yeah, those just the chassis for the robot base, and you still need to design the attachments on it, so that the attachment actually it's going to match with the gear together, and then when the robot runs, it's going to take the attachment to form something. But for the first year, no worry about this kind of chassis. It's kind of very hard for the first year. This usually is already 4 or 5 years. A very advanced team can do it. And usually, yeah. So don't worry too much.
Yeah, I mean, the first one is good. Sorry. The first one's already really good for like doing basic stuff.
Yeah, usually the first year. Oh yeah.
Really quickly. Just the overall idea. So, look, just really quickly, we're looking here to just collect something. We'd be going under something that was going to drop things that we need to collect. The idea is build an attachment.
What's your thing?
Look at it. So this is what it means by having, as you can see here, you have your pins and you have a modular design so you can plug and play. And all the designs that you presented have this concept. And then later, you need to have a claw that would open and close to either pick things up or to drop things off. And likewise, you just plug and play. So that's the idea, is that you build a base robot and you try to have a modular design for attachments, because otherwise you can't build the robot that's going to do every mission together, right? So you try to make a base robot, and you try to make attachments that can connect in, so you can do all the missions in succession. Sorry.
So basically, that's a really good explanation. So you basically want to build this base robot, and then you swap in attachments. And basically, over the course of the 2.5 minutes, you'll go out, you'll put out one attachment, you'll go out and do a mission or two, you'll come back to base. And then when you come back to base, you swap out another attachment, you go out, do a few missions, and you come back. And what that will let you do is you don't need to make your attachments too complicated, because you're only going to be doing a few missions every run. And then you're able to kind of come back and do some more complicated things by hand, like for example, if you do assemble, like there's a lander this year that will fall on the mat, and you need to make sure that it stays intact. And it's really hard to do that when you're actually just taking it out of there because it will fall and break. So some people might choose to take it back to base, assemble it to base, put it back on the robot will deliver it. So coming back and making it. So the next, or first, are there any questions on design? I mean, I know it seems kind of overwhelming, but you'll kind of, as the season goes on, basically what you might want to choose to do is, you're probably going to choose to try to first build like a basic base first, and then you kind of iterate your designs as you go forward. So you might spend a little bit of time strategizing, and spend a little bit of time actually building the base robot, and then spend a little bit of time building the attachment. So it's a really kind of iterative process and build on each other. And it's not, it seems like a big deal, but it breaks down into small things.
Are you allowed to add motors on the inside of the robot? Like you add motors to make the wheels move, but then you add motors on the inside to like move something that needs to go on the inside of the robot.
Yeah, so you can design your robot as in any way you want, and usually it is standard practice to put motors inside the robot to embed them somewhere, so you're able to move your attachments. So like if you have like an elevator that goes up and down, or if you have a hook that grabs it, usually use the same motor for that, and you can put that motor inside your robot and you have an easy attachment.
And because EV3 only have a full force for the motor, so the maximum you can take is 4 motors.
Yeah, I think FIRST does place regulations on exactly the number of motors that you can use. Although that might have been removed, so you should definitely be the challenge and everything.
Right now has been removed. Okay. Long time ago, I think when we joined the first year, they have a requirements only 2 sensors can you guys put in, but after that it has been removed. Yeah.
And I think there might be like a motor multiplexer thing that will they kind of acts as a hub for motors, but I would not recommend using that. I don't think that's even allowed. So I think 4 motors generally that you plug into your robot will get applicable. So yeah, so the next category in the robot design judging rubric is programming. And in this category, there are 3 different subcategories, which are quality, efficiency, and automation and navigation. So quality is basically how well written, or I don't want to say written because it's not good, but how well built your code is, and how first of all, how well documented it is. So you can put comments in EV3 software, so you have the ability to kind of write little notes that will describe what each press can do. So that will probably help with the quality part of it. And then there's also how well designed it is, and if you do something, you do it in an elegant way. But as you're designing your robot, you don't really need to worry too much about that. Just get it built first, and then kind of start worrying about some of the efficiency. So efficiency is just so quality and efficiency are kind of related to each other. So efficiency is basically just how well created your code is. And there's something in EV3 called the mind block. So you might want to kind of modular or containerize your code into these mind blocks that you're able to just kind of drop in. That makes it really efficient to kind of build a long program in less blocks. And automation and navigation is basically the entirety strategy and how you decide to get to a mission. So like, for example, if you want to get to this mission over here, how are you going to navigate there? What types of sensors are you using to get there? What types of lines you're going to be following to get there, and how you're making sure that you can get there consistently. And I think really as a first year team, programming is not something you need to worry about as much because you just want to get your own to work first. And there are some tips that you can use to get it to work more consistently, but the first priority is to get your one actually working between the two. And you can kind of just add on a few of these navigation tips as you go on, which are more advanced. So just in general, a few tips that you might want to use that I talked about earlier are line blocks, which are basically they're, depending on the programmer, they're functions that you can just write. And basically you can, programming in Geometry is in blocks of code. And if you have one block of code or one piece of code that you use a lot, like for example, if you have like a line following block of code and you don't want to paste and copy and paste this horribly long piece of code every time you want to follow a line, you can take that code and put it into a smaller block, which is a line block. And this block will be this one block that holds all this code that you use. And you can just drag this block into your program, and it'll be as if all of your original code is there. So it's really useful for kind of just easily making repeated actions that you keep doing and making your code look a lot more nicer and neater. And then in general, this is more for the point, but there's a lot of really like neat tricks that you can use that I'm not going to go into that much detail over here, but
okay, for my block is actually reuse. You can reuse your coding. It's like function. In the programming world, it's like function. You can reuse that piece of code again, and it's also like make your code look neat. So the my block is a very important part inside your programming. You can, you can, for example, you have a line following the program. So you use that. You write one piece of the line following function. Then inside your mission, each trip you can drag that my block into your programming. That makes your easily do not need to rewrite that code again and again. And for the next is the positioning techniques, because inside this mat, the thing is how to get your robot precisely, accurately get to the point, get to the mission part, to perform the mission. So if your robot even cannot get to the mission place, how can you perform it? So the very important thing is how to get there, how to position your robot accurately inside the mat. So there's some techniques, because like this whole table, in the whole table you guys can see it's not like many things you can use. But the first thing is the border of that table. The border, that's basically the wall all the time stay there. So we usually, if you can utilize that wall a lot, so then your robot actually can much more easily find out where it is. So you want to go through.
So I think there's like a few different techniques that you can use to make sure that your robot gets somewhere consistently. And I know this is going to be pretty overwhelming, but if you have any questions about it, you can ask me later. Or yeah. So I'm sure you can find a lot of this online too. So the first one is wall following. So for example, let's take a look at this mission over here. So we might want to, this mission is kind of pretty close to base, but you want to make sure you can get there consistently. And you might notice that there's a border of the mat right next to it, and this border is, I think, like a 3-inch tall wall. So what a lot of people will do is they'll have little rollers, mini wheels inside of the robot that will kind of touch this wall, and they're going to move forward with a slight. When you move forward, a lot of people kind of like slightly curve to the left or slightly curve into the wall, so they make sure that they are hugging the wall the entire time as they go down. And by doing that, not only in this mission, but also in a lot of other missions, you can make sure that you're, first of all, exactly parallel to the wall, and then you can also make sure that you are right up against the wall, so it's a good position that you're at. And that will that will let you know both the rotation and the one of the coordinates of the robot. So the next thing is wall squaring, and this is basically just something to make sure that the angle of your robot is correct, and also kind of position too, because sometimes, let's say you want to make it to this position over here, and what you might do is you might choose to kind of follow the wall over here, and then go up here and turn a little bit, but the turn might not be all that accurate, and you might, like if you go on to do some more positions after this, you might have like some really so like if there's error in your turns, the error will start adding up and you'll start getting worse and worse at your position. So what you might want to try is backing up your robot into a wall for a few seconds. And what that will do is if you have a side on your robot, a flat side, it will be able to back into the robot, back into the wall, and the flat face of your robot will start to align itself with the wall. And what that will do is it will let you make sure that the angle of your robot is exactly perpendicular, or the face, one of the faces of the robot will be exactly parallel to the wall. And then sometimes when you're navigating and you want to kind of check to see if you've gotten somewhere, you might choose to install a color sensor at the bottom of the robot. And what that will let you do is, like, let's say you want to deliver an object to this corner, to this northeast planet area over here. This northeast planet area has a very distinctive color, and it's very distinctive. Like, nowhere else in the field has this kind of orange yellow color. So you might choose to use your color sensor as a detector to detect when you've gotten into this area. So you know that you're absolutely sure that you're in this area when you're there. So that's kind of the more basic types of positioning techniques. Are there any questions? And this is kind of rapid fire, but these are all really useful techniques. So moving into some more advanced techniques that you might choose to use. The first one would be a gyro turn. So there's a sensor called a gyro sensor in your robot that you can put into the robot. And this is the same sensor that's in all your phones, which kind of detects the angle that your robot is at, or your phone is being turned. And what this will let you do is you can put it in a degree measure, and the robot will, you're going to be able to turn your robot to exactly that amount of degrees. Because you have a gyrometer, or a gyro inside your robot that will detect exactly where the robot is. So that will let you make exactly correct turns and exactly like the right angle of turn that you want to do.
Yeah, because usually when the robot's running on the mat, sometimes your robot's the wheel slip. So when you like programming your robot turning 45 degrees, but when it slips, so you never know like what kind of turn is going to perform. And also sometimes with different battery power. So your robot may be running too fast and it's going to go over that power, the 45 degree, or if it's running too low, it's probably less. So with the gyro turns, because the gyro sensor can detect the turn, so it's going to like turn more accurately. Even, yeah, it's not that kind of precise, but much more accurate than only use a wheel like the degree turning.
And then I think two of the most advanced concepts that you might want to think about when you're building or deciding how to program your robot is line following and line alignment. So line following is basically just following one of these black lines down a black line, and this will let you make sure that your robot is exactly there and exactly straight on the line. And there's a few different implementations that you can use for this. So there's something called an on-off controller, which is probably the simplest way to do it. So basically what it means is if your robot's in the white, then you're going to turn left. If it's in the black, then you're going to turn right. And what it's going to do is you're kind of zigzag across the line. And then there's some more complicated controllers that will let you follow the line much more smoothly, which is if anyone's heard of a P controller or like a PID, like feedback controller. These are all very advanced concepts, so don't. I wouldn't necessarily recommend to use it as a first-year team, but if you get into some more advanced, or if you want to start getting more advanced with programming, especially if you want to impress the judges, then you can start to use some more advanced line following techniques. But I wouldn't worry about it too much as a first-year team. And then line alignment is also using the color sensors of the ground to make sure that you're exactly squared up against one of these lines. And what that will mean is like you kind of need 2 color sensors for this on both sides of the robot. And you want to make sure that both of the color sensors are detecting the same area of this line. And that will make sure that you're perpendicular to the line. Yeah, we're orthogonal to the line. So the implementation of a lot of these like positioning techniques might be a little bit difficult, but in general, like this is just kind of for you to think about and keep in mind as you're going through the season. So I mean, I think the main takeaway from this is while you're programming your robot to go about the mission, you want to make sure that you're not only just putting in raw move blocks, because a lot of the time, like you just say move forward and turn right a little bit, it might not be that accurate because it might slip on the field. So in general, you just want to make sure to try to use the sensors that you have in the best way that you can. So I guess just kind of take advantage of the different features in the field that are always going to be there, like the walls, or maybe if you square against one of the vision models, just make sure you don't break it. If you square against one of the vision models, or if you're using sensors to like detect a color on the mat, or to detect a line, or to maybe even use an ultrasonic sensor to detect how far away you are. So just in general, you want to try to use the sensors that you have in the best of your ability. Yeah. So the final scoring category is strategy and innovation, which is kind of how you strategize your missions and strategize how you're doing everything. So there's design process, mission strategy, and innovation. So design process is more of a meta or more of an abstract judging category. So it's not judging the strategy that you have specifically, but it's judging how you got about the strategy. So they're going to ask about like how you did your brainstorming, the process of what you did to analyze the mission, to analyze the field, and how you like they might want to know like how you were what types of discussions that you had as a team, or maybe if there's a problem that you had that how you resolved the problem that you had, or maybe even like talk about a mission that you had trouble with and that you were able to kind of overcome this trouble, and look at the mechanics of how you figured out your solution. So the second one is a little bit more lower level. So there's mission strategy, where they look at how you split up your missions and also how you're doing the missions. And then innovation is if you have some like really cool or neat idea, and if you have this kind of goes away a little bit from strategy, but if your robot has this really cool aspects and has this really unique part of it, then they might mark you up for innovation. So in general, most of these tips are going to be related to actually strategizing and splitting up the missions. So in the beginning of the season, what you're going to want to do is spend some time thinking about which missions you want to do. And what some more advanced teams will do is they'll kind of try to make zones of missions. So each zone of mission is going to be kind of related in the same area of the mat, and you're going to try to go about and do all those missions in one run. But as a more as like a first or second year team, what you're probably going to be looking at is doing maybe only one mission per one. So you're going to go out of the base, do one mission, and come back. So in order to choose the mission that you're going to want to do, is you're going to kind of first take a look at all the missions and then analyze all of them based on how far away they are from base. So you need to keep in mind how long it's going to take to get there. Because if you try to do this mission and only this mission, it's going to take like 40 seconds to get down there and another 30 seconds to get back, and that's already a minute done. So you want to make sure that you choose missions that are reasonably located.
Yeah, even because only 2.5 minutes to perform those. So usually, definitely for the first year, you only can have like 3 or 4 missions to choose for. Yeah, so that's the reason you need to, at each season, you need to carefully choose your mission, which mission you want to do. So that's some strategy you guys need to use to choose your mission.
One question. So for each mission, you have a 3 chance to try.
Yeah, each performance.
If the first time you pass, consider it pass, right?
No, it depends on which high score they were.
Basically, in 1-2.5 minutes, you can split it up in any way you want. So if you want to redo a mission, you can do it as many times as you want, just within the 2.5 minutes. But like, I think there has to be a distinction between. So you have you have 3 different chances at going on the field. And every time you go on the field, you get 2.5 minutes to do anything you want. So you can, like, they don't record, they don't look at when you go to do the mission. They only take a look at the field after the match is ended, and then they look at if it's done. So you can do it, you can try it as many times as you want within 2.5 minutes. But you also have to make sure that you're kind of planning your time. Does that answer the question? Like you have 3 matches, so you can go onto the field 3 times. But when you're on the field, you can do as many games.
And then at the end, they're going to like after 2.5 minutes, they're going to see which mission you performed, and it counts all the points you get. And in the 3 times, after 3 times, they choose the highest score, yeah, to ranking you. Yeah.
Different missions.
Yes. Yeah, the three chances. Yeah, basically you can, but usually what we do is you practice. If you choose the 3 missions, you inside the 2.5 hours. You do, and yeah.
So and for those 3 chances, we can do like different things, like
you would. That's your choice. Yeah.
Because like if you do choose to do the things that you need to make a lot more missions. So usually teams will just do the same thing. Because a lot of missions will fail, and you want to try to make your robot as consistent as possible. So a few other factors to consider is, first of all, how many points you're going to get. So how much benefit you get from the mission, and then how much time are you going to need to do it. So for the aerobic exercise, it's going to take a lot longer to do that than to do like something that's just pushing. And then you want to see how hard it is to do, so you want to kind of decide something that's within your ability level. And then you also kind of want to look at, by prerequisites, what I mean is, there's this mission over here, this free mission, that you need to do, you can only do this mission after you do this mission. Because you need, apart from this mission, to do this mission. So you need to kind of look at, like, if you want to do this mission, then you're also going to have to do this mission. So you have to like look at a few different prerequisites. And then you also need to consider, like, if you build one type of attachment, how many different missions can that attachment do? If you do one attachment that picks something up and puts it down, then maybe you can do multiple missions of an attachment. And you might want to choose to do all the missions that you can do with the minimum of attachment. And then finally, team experience is just knowing your ability level and knowing the types of missions that you're going to fit into that ability level. So there's a lot of analysis to do to choose a mission. But in general, don't worry too much about this, because if you try one thing and it doesn't work out, then you can always move on to another mission. And it's really, I know this makes it seem like it's a very clear-cut process in the beginning that you kind of choose to move on, but in reality, it's very, 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 it's a process where you kind of try something out and it doesn't work, so you switch a mission. So, okay, so this is just a video of a really, really advanced team that that solves most of the missions in the field. And I think actually this is our team.
It's our team.
This is our team. Okay. Okay, this is our team from 2 years ago. And yeah, this is just to give you a general idea of what's up.
So we came at the base and we pushed out one of the attachments, and this is the second run that worked. What you might notice is also the turns are a lot slower than the actually moving, and what that is, like what we're doing there is to make sure that we can do the turns as repeatable as well as possible. So you want to kind of make sure that each of the turns that you do are like you want kind of various speed based on what you do.
This is actually our that year's robot. So yeah, this is like the chassis we have. And then we have a two like attachment. So each attachment is like for one zone. So we're doing the whole mission as a 2 zones. So the attachment is like huge. So that's each one can perform like multiple missions. And the thing is, we designed the chassis and it's easy to put it on. Like this. So like during the competition, because during the competition you only have 2.5 minutes. So when you design it, you want to change the attachments easily, very quick, like within 10 seconds. You want to let it put it on and let it go. So that's but this is so no worry about like right now, because this is we did for 5 years. Basically, today we teach you what we learned in this 7 years. So you guys as a first year don't need to worry about too much of that. So like this, yeah. It's like you put it on and it can go. Yeah. You remove first one. This is actually on at the beginning. So before the mission starts, you can take before that 2.5 minutes start, you can take how long to set up the first mission. So usually we put the most difficult to set up things in the first beginning, because you have as long as you want. You need the referee will ask you, are you ready? So you put everything on there. You say yes, and then during the 2.5 minutes, you have to change this as fast as possible. So that's the reason we make all the attachment is like modular design. So it's like everything, you just stick it out and then put it on, let it go. That's basically our that year.
So let's say for the first year, I would think the first year maybe it makes more sense to put a one size attachment and don't touch it, and hopefully for finish the 2 or 3 missions.
If you can, yes.
What I would say, well, please don't try to do this, but what I would say is at least try to have some sort of removable attachment, but they don't like, not like this, but maybe like a different hook. They can just stick the hook on and then go out and do something. Like I think one size fits all is actually might be harder than like sticking out the attachment every time. Yeah. So just a few general tips for a great season is there's something called robot game updates, and what this will have is throughout the season is if like there's a clarification that they want, or if there's a mission model that's a little bit broken, like last year that one got stuck, so you were allowed to touch it. Just check those constantly. Usually I think there's going to be emails that will send out to coaches that will kind of tell you if there's a new update out there. And then set reasonable goals, obviously, so you've been saying before. Don't do all the missions, and obviously, but YouTube is a great resource to take a look at robots, but also YouTube is a really easy way to get scared. So don't, if you're looking at YouTube for like robot videos, please don't be intimidated by all the robots people make, because usually there's a disproportionate amount of high scoring people that post videos on YouTube. Most of the high scoring people want to post videos, and then most of the low scoring people not want to post videos on YouTube. So don't be scared about all the videos that you see on YouTube. But sometimes YouTube might be a great resource to take a look at some of the designs that people are making and try to make a copy or actually part of that, part of an attachment. So for example, like we have this hook mechanism over here, and you might want to like, so this is the passive hook that will kind of like retain itself. It'll let something in, but then it will be self-retaining. So I might want to try to like look at some videos and try to take a look at some things that they do that work well, and then try to copy, try to build them yourself and see if it works well for you. And then please follow the rules, but keep in mind that if something says that it's not illegal, then it is legal. So if there's something find these really cool, really interesting workarounds and rules that might be easier, but usually I think they cover the bases pretty well. But if you find something that's not, that isn't not allowed, then it probably is allowed, unless it's clarified in the rule game. Why you should check it, and then obviously have fun. I know this. Really, this presentation was to just give you like an idea of the high level of a very high level game. But in reality, in the first year, I think the best thing that you can do is just kind of try to start small and to you don't even need to think about any of this stuff until you get a little more advanced. So basically, just try to maybe like throughout a season, you might want to start with a little bit of brainstorming, not too long, not too much, but you want to kind of just launch into building as soon as possible, and just try to build like an example base, or like you want to try to follow instructions that you might find somewhere to build. Just a really small base that you can really just get started up and running with really quickly. And then you might want to try to just branch out and try to think about how you want to do a mission, and then just try to make something that day to just easily, as a proof of concept, see if it works with it. You don't need to even attach it to a robot. Just try to like move it by hand, see if it is able to do the mission that you want it to do, and then just kind of iterate as quickly as you can. And the first goal that you might want to try to reach is to just get your robot to work, and then after that you can start thinking about some more advanced positioning and more advanced techniques that you can do, more advanced attachment design. But the first thing you should try to do is just get to work. Yeah. So
actually, next will be the Megabots going to show some technique on the mat. So if you guys want to come to watch some.
We haven't been prepping. We're actually have different robots that we've been trying out in the off season. One thing you'll see is that there's an off season, right? And if you're going to do it over multiple years, between each season, you have no idea what next year's missions are going to be. So you're going to focus on things that can be generally used, right? So this is our standard robot, and we have a prototype that we're still trying for this year. But anyways, the big thing over this off season was getting our turning capabilities better. So sorry, it's going to take a little bit of time because I'm going to power the robot up. So I'm not going to demonstrate any of these missions because we are still in the process of building this data. We haven't had a chance to review yet. Even though things have started, most of our team is on vacation still. We have many families traveling abroad. Until they're back, nothing's happening.
Yeah, August is always tough to get a whole team together.
Yeah, August is very difficult because it's everybody's final chance to enjoy their vacation. So we've built some of these things, and we've already started talking about some ideas. But this robot's a fairly simple design. We've used it for the last 2 years. It has a medium-sized motor in the middle that connects to a shaft that runs across the whole thing, so it actuates what we call a dog gear on the back and a dog gear on the front. The limitation of this, of course, is that when you turn that motor, both turn together. So you'll see in the more advanced designs, you'll have two separate motors that can act independently, which allows you to perform more actions. It has large wheels. One thing that you saw from the picture is that they had a design similar to this. The only problem with their design is if you don't support the wheels on the outside, and we found this the hard way, you're putting the whole weight of the robot on the little dowel, which is just a long pipe going into the motors. So over time, you're putting all the weight on just this thin plastic structure. It starts to bend, it starts to warp, and you start getting very unpredictable performance. Makes things very difficult. So we put this overlay in hopes to stop that from happening. What I'm going to just show is some basic operations. One of the crowning achievements last year, I apologize, was the capability to, there we go. The perfect ability to always reference the starting angle and use that, I'm going to put this in the middle, and use that angle to determine how we want to turn later. So what this actually has, this is just a demonstration. This is going to randomly turn in one direction, randomly turn a lot in the other direction, and using the gyro sensor, then always turn to be facing a perfect 90 degrees this way. So the idea is, I'll run it right now. So one turn, another turn, and then it backs up to face this. That's a little bit off, but I can run it again, and it's going to do a different random action. That didn't do too much of a turn at the end. But the idea is, as was stated before, the nice thing about the gyro turn, it's not going to work because the last one's not random enough. Sorry, it's a little slow this time. The idea is it's going to keep turning until it reaches what it believes is this way. So the advantage of that is, and this is actually why we got the programming award, we had this motor issue hit last year, and as Connor was explaining this program, he said, we're having an issue with the motor, it's probably going to hit this wall, and the program's running, right? And he said, and for most people that meant the doom of the mission. He said, but because of this program, it's going to continue on, and it's then going to turn perfect north, even though it made multiple mistakes, and then it's going to finish the mission. And it went, it did it, and it turned perfectly. And the judge is like, that's amazing. And by having the program up, he was able to walk through them step by step how that's possible. So that was one of our big achievements. And these are the type of things that you can do during the off season, because you have no idea what the missions are. But you know, hey, being able to turn perfect 90 degrees at any time would be very beneficial. So that's the type of thing you can work when you don't know what the challenges are. When you do know the challenges are, you have to start building the attachments and the customization. And I love to talk about the zoning, planning out the zones, because if you do one mission all the way over here, and then you try to come back, then you try to do one over here, then you come back, you're losing time in transit. And since you only have 2.5 minutes, you don't want to lose time to travel. Now, if you could do a bunch of missions here, then move forward, do a mission here, then do this mission, then do this mission, you've saved a ton of transit time. Another basic function that we talked about was line squaring. Let me see if I have that. So the idea is, as you approach a line, you square on it. Now you can do it, we've made this program so no matter what angle you're attacking that black line, it will always square on it. So that makes the black lines on the course extremely valuable. Using similar methodology, there was a brought up of a line follow. Unfortunately, I don't have that one ready to go with this course, but it's a similar mechanism where it would get onto the line and follow it. Things to consider when you build these type of functions are, they're called my blocks, and when you create them, you can define variables of inputs and outputs if you want. And so, like, take that line square. What I was calling was really basic. However, what the kids did this summer was made it so not only could it go forward in line square, but if I wanted to, I could make it back up and square perfectly. And you have to think about the math involved, because you're going backwards. Maybe a bunch of signs flip on everything, right? And so the idea is, and if you for that turning 90 degrees, they made variables for each wheel motor. So you could say turn perfectly 90 degrees by backing one wheel up, or turn perfect 90 degrees by turning one wheel forward, or turn 180 degrees by turning both wheels at the same time. So by making it that type of modular, it becomes more and more general use. And I'll show one thing with the mechanical design. And this is a real simple operation. So for this real simple operation, the idea would be, let's drop this container up. So the idea would be, plug this in. And the concept is, let's just say we had a basic mission. Go forward and drop off this jar of water. So each of these are programs that you've built on the computer, and you can either connect via USB cable, via Wi-Fi, or via Bluetooth, and you upload the program to the robot. Then just have a program called flop. All of these guys go forward. It's going to drop it off, back up, and close. Real simple. And when it's your first year, those are the type of things you're going to focus on. How do I do? And the key is, can I do this repeatedly? Can I do it consistently? That's what you need to focus on. If you try to solve world hunger, so to speak, if you try to solve every single mission out here, you're going to spread yourself too thin. So for example, if I have a great idea on how to do this mission where I have to get this guy to the top, right? If I only get it up there 1 out of 10 times, right, maybe it's not a mission to focus on. Maybe I need to change something. But if I can get it 8 out of 10 times, it feels better. I can't stress enough, when you get to the competition, the board is going to be slightly different than your board, right? It's plywood, and it's got wood walls. There could be a chance that yours was a little warped, or theirs is a little warped a different way. So there's going to be some variability, and that's just how it is. And every team is facing that same issue, right? So that's why some people will try to do everything by just raw distance. That's why trying to go to line follows, by squaring on lines, turning by specific angles based on sensors, has a distinct advantage. Because you're trying to remove those variables from the equation. Like, well, what if it's a little bent? If I try to say you're going to turn both wheels a perfect 348 degrees, and that will be perfect every time to do this mission, that's not necessarily guaranteed, right? So that's why Eddie, right? Yeah. Eddie did a great job of saying some people often will come up with a strategy of following the wall, right, or other tricks like that to make sure that they can get repeated, consistent results. I'm sure you're going to show your robot now?
I'm not going to power it up.
Oh, okay, no problem.
Yeah.
Go ahead and explain.
So that's the reason practice game is so important. Because the first year when we go to the practice game, we actually got 0 success, 0 mission success. Even at home, because every single mat, every single table is have a different issue. Like this table is already, I feel like it's tilted to this side. So when you go to competition, the table is years table, so you never know what happens. Probably even have a nail pop under, so you never know.
It definitely helps. One other point I'd like to say, one thing as a coach I keep reminding, when the kids are watching the mission, sometimes they'll do this, right? And I keep reminding them that, per Einstein, space is a rubber sheet, and you are bending space-time if you're putting your weight on the board, right? So, because people will say, we're getting ridiculous results every time. You find out there was a kid being more half the time, and the other half of the time there wasn't. And it was drastically changing the result. Anyway.
And also first year when we don't have a sensors, we actually, first year and the second year, we take hours to figure it out. The battery power. Yeah, when the battery power is different, then your motor run differently.
Yes.
So it's everything you learning experience. Yeah. And also, when you go to practice game, just like he said, every year we found out kids built one mission wrong every single year because kids follow the instruction. They were not sometimes missed. When we go to the Y at home every time it's go to right, but they get there it's divert. Yeah, so that practice game is so important.
Which one is going to be this year?
About battery, for the competition, you should use the new battery, right?
Depends. Actually, we found out its best result will be 80-90%, but after you apply all the sensors, should be okay. Yep.
I mean, we used to use non-rechargeables, and now we switched to rechargeable batteries, which might be better. You can just, I think for rechargeable batteries, 100% should be good.
Yeah, but because we also at the years get up, we everything we use sensors, turning sensors, and you reach the point use the sensors, so that's correct a lot of the power issue.
Also, we were on we were on the older version of the brick back then. I think this one might be a little bit better. Yeah. but you shouldn't need to worry about that because
So when we go to the competition or tournament, we have to bring everything like the table.
No, not this table.
Not this one.
No,
But you have to bring the mat.
No.
Nope. No.
Oh.
This will be all set up for you.
Oh.
And all of it will be set up for you. The one thing I will say, and you as a coach are not allowed to do this, but the players need to inspect
make sure
the
they're
table.
level,
Well,
everything.
because everybody's going in and out. So what if the last team kind of did a mission and something that's supposed to be in is out? So you know you got a team of like 4 or 6 kids. Have one kid look at everything and make sure everything looks good. And if they see something out of place, they say, "Hey, judge, this doesn't look like it's right. Yeah, can you fix it?" And they'll fix it. It's a minor point, but it can matter because then once when the mission starts, you're like, "Oh no, why is that there?" Right? So yeah.
And also, after the match going on, and some kind of missions going to be loose, so it's better your team. If you guys will use this to help you, like in the square on it, you better to go there, push down before you start your mission. Yeah, so that's everything's like
All right. So I think basically this was our robot from a few years ago also. And there's just a few also design points that I wanted to take a look at on this. So you kind of see since this box, you're easily able to like follow the wall over here because there's a flat face that's able to kind of slide against the wall. So you can make sure that you're exactly 90 degrees or exactly that you're parallel to the wall the entire time you're going down. And then also, for example, I guess if you want to see like wall squaring, if you're a little bit if you're not exactly perpendicular to the wall, if you back into the wall and keep backing for a few seconds, it will make your robot perpendicular to the wall. So those are just 2 concepts that we took a look at, and that could be very useful for you. And then there's also, if you look at the bottom, you can actually see we use 3 color sensors this year, which is a lot of color sensors. And then basically what this lets us do is, I mean, you might want to start off with only 1 color sensor to follow the line, but we find that if you put more than 1 color sensor, you're able to follow it more, a little bit more reliably. And then we also use one over here for to follow this like circular path on the side of our robot. So in general, you just basically just want to put as many sensors on there as you need.
And that has a gyro as well, right?
Yeah, so the 4 sensors are 3 color sensors, 1 gyro.
And the gyro sensor, when you guys use gyro sensor, carefully, because gyro sensor easily get the drifting. So when you use gyro sensor, when you start the machine, keep it stay still. Don't touch it when it starts, because when you take it out, the gyro sensor easily get drifting. So it's
during the boot up sequence, it tries to figure
Yeah.
out what normal is. So if while it's powering up, the gyro sensor is trying to calibrate itself. If you're picking it up and moving it all around, like trying to figure out where to put it, that gyro sensor is like, okay, when I'm still, I'm doing this, right? And so then the number gets all messed up, like you said. So yes, when you power it on, let it rest. Let it rest until it's fully on. And what's nice is there are viewable screens on there to check all the sensors ahead of time, so you can make sure like when the gyro sensor is misbehaving, you'll see it infinitely increasing. Or decreasing. It might be going infinitely towards -1 million, right? Then you're like, okay, something's wrong here. Let's power it down, bring it back. It's a good thing.
What's the gyro sensor and what's its function?
The gyro sensor determines the angle of change from its first point in rest. You can also reset it at any given time. So right now, like when I go to start a mission, right now this is 0. Right, and so if I turn, I can say turn until I'm at 90. Right, the one got you. The one got you. 180 degrees.
I think it's accelerometer, and then there's the microcontroller does the integration of the acceleration and the deacceleration. Then it deducts how much it has turned.
That's why it's also inherently flawed because it's you have to do 2 intervals to get the absolute.
Right, the integration then it has a cumulative error.
Yeah,
it's not an absolute.
Is it to like sense that how many degrees you turn?
Well, there's yes, but there's danger to that because it's not bounded. Meaning, when you first hear it, what degree angle you turn, you're like, okay, so it must be between 0 and 360. No, it's between -infinity and +infinity. So let's say it turns in a circle, not once, but twice. Its reading is 720. If it turned the other way twice, after, its reading would be 0 in that case. But if then it did it another two turns, it would be negative 720. So you have to be wary of that it's unbounded in both directions. Two of our kids that have graduated and moved on came up with a function that specifically took the gyro sensor, performed the necessary mathematics on it to make the result always between 0 and 360. So any other function that went to use the gyro sensor, the math became dramatically easier.
And I'm already very impressed that the gyro sensors are able to do what it is, because it has a double, integrated twice, and there's a lot of error involved, so you have to be very careful.
Yes.
Okay, so next will be our core value. Most important part.
And they put it through the putter sensor at the bottom, right here, and that's when we're able to square.
So I'm going to be quick, it's the lunchtime. And I really feel like this should be like a 3-day crash course for everyone. So much to include in one session, right? So a little bit of my background of myself. My name is Ron. I have been involved with the FIRST for around 7 to 8 years, but it's with the different levels, like all the way from junior to FRC. So I actually started from FRC. And personally, I feel more love with FLL because it is the level that is it's a good combination of the accessibility, right, and also it is sophisticated enough for kids to learn. So that's why. So I have been a coach for FLL for 3 to 4 years. I coached my own team, and then I joined with Jenny 2 years ago for Dragon Knight. So core value, it's something that it's very easy to be ignored. And it's invisible, and it's it's superficial, and it's hard to measure, hard to manage, and hard to improve. Right? So maybe in a year later, when we gather in this room again, we'll talk about it, and you guys will have a much deep feeling about what I'm trying to say today. So that's why maybe with the recording, while you were coaching this through the season, or in a year back, later, you can come back to watch this video again. You will have a totally different feeling of understanding what I'm trying to say today. So next. So core values are the part of the first level of FRC at first, the whole program. And through the whole coaching process here, I feel like I myself can start up a company. And if I want to start up a company, I'm going to post this on my company's blog. And these are the slogan for the whole company's culture. And I feel like it's not just for the kids to learn, and we, as adults, it is a good Bible for us to know how to work with the people, to know how to, engage with the people, have the team spirit. So these are the, kind of a slogan for every kid, in the past season, they knew all these, right? But however, every team meeting, I was like, okay, tell me, what are the, first core values? So they're going to memorize it and tell me. But do we really understand it? At a different place, we definitely have a different level of understanding. Right? Say, we're a team, of course. Well, we're here together, and we do the work, and we always, guide them through. And there's intensive, training today from all different coaches, and also from the team members, right? You show they work together, and we guide them through to learn, and we friendly competition. What we discover is more important than what we're doing. We share our experience with others. We display gracious professionalism. How do we understand this part, right? And what is co-repetition? Of course, they all have fun. That's why we're here. But in order to embed and carve this in your mind, you really have to go through and suffer score and win and lose together. That's what we call, the core values. So next. So this year, the core values have been aggregated, into the next level. They're not the slogan on the previous slides. Actually, they are even more, for me, I think it's a great summary, but maybe for the new coaches, even harder to digest, right? It's aggregated into 6 items: discovery, we explore new skills, innovations, impact, inclusion, teamwork, and fun. So in order to guide you through to the process of understanding this, so we're gonna actually run through the judge sheet, right? Which really tells you by showing you guys what the judge is looking, and we're trying to materialize all these things into the judging sheet that is more concrete for you guys to understand. Next one. Okay, so there are 3 major categories. So we're now in the inspiration. All right, so this program, okay, the first program is kind of a platform and bring everybody together to learn, either from the team perspective, from coach's perspective, right? The inspiration part is actually trying to teach you and show you, right, how the team members, how everybody is being inspired by the program, and how are you going to inspire others going forward. So in this program, right, in this training, you can clearly see that all the coaches here, all the parents here, we're here, we have the experience, we're trying to inspire you guys to join, right? That's an example. And look at all the members just being presented, how they're gonna carry on their legacy going forward and inspire all the younger kids to join the program to show the benefit. And you can see clearly the the hierarchy for all the members, from all the way from Eddie, he's all the seniors, right? And all the way to Anthony, Aaron, Marvin, Connor, all these kids. You can see the ladder. That is the legacy, the culture of the program, right? So specifically, the 3 subcategories. Discovery. There are 3 cornerstones in this program, and the program is trying to make you think in a balanced way that this is not just about the robot. It's not just about the project, right? It's about everything together: project, robot, core value. And it's very easy to forget. And even though I've been coaching for several years, it's very easy to forget because it's hard to materialize. Right? The second one, team spirit. You just saw the kids, and you can see the high energy from their body, right? The way they're representing themselves, the way they're presenting the project, even though they have done it 2 years ago, every time we talk about it, it's a new thing for them. So they feel truly passionate about it. Right? The third one is integration. How are you going to apply the FLL values, right? The skill set you learn from FLL, apply to something else, right? This is just one activity. They're not going to do this through the whole entire life. This is the place that they learn and they apply to somewhere else, which they can carry on the trades they learned going forward, right? So in the judge room, all the kids will be brought into the room, and they're given an activity. Okay, do this mission for me, and then the judge will see by watching what they're doing, they're going to see exactly how the team work together, and they're going to judge. They're going to mark it here. So here is like 4 points. So at the end of the activity, they're going to see for the inspiration what is the score for this category. Right? Next. Okay, so the next one, the category is a teamwork. Right? So if you guys look at the core value, so I just finished the top section, right? And the second one is the teamwork. Right? So obviously, kids need to work together. Coaches need to work together. Parents they need to work together. Everyone has to work together. How effective they're working together, right? Do they have a clear goal? By watching them finish their task in the judge room, it's kind of an animation of what they have been doing over the whole season, and it's an animation of how effectively they can finish the task.
you're not being judged by how if you finish the task or not. You're being judged by how effective it is, the methodology you've been using, right? And you guys, are you working efficiently by putting everybody together, right? As you can see in the other, in this poster, right? Everyone's level is different. There will be age difference. There will be, capability difference. But it's the real world problem, right? In the one organization, not everyone is the same. How do you include everyone? So this is the place they actually draw an organization chart. So one team is just like a company. You have somebody in charge of this, somebody is good at something else. How do we include all these talents together to make sure the team is working efficiently, effectively, right? And obviously, the last subcategory under teamwork, you are going to see is the kids, are the kids really the one who is doing the project? By watching them finish the task, you're going to see, are they clueless or are they really working together? So that's the 3 parts under the teamwork. Next. All right, the last one is gracious professionalism. And if the team members are so involved, and you actually need to teach them how to work with the people, and the working with the people and sharing with the people, and also getting the awards are not separate goals. They can be combined together. Inclusion is something that, it's consideration and appreciation for the contribution of all the teams and with the balanced involvement, right? You want to include everyone, and obviously this provides the second one, how do you respect the people, right? Even though some kids are more advanced than the others, that's fine. Because when the younger kids grow up, and they're gonna fulfill that role, right? So it's within the inclusion and respect, the team can work together. And competition, which is team competes in the spirit of friendly competition and cooperates with others. Meaning that in the competition, even though other teams are having problems, you're willing to help. And also, as part of our team activity before, during the season, if the team can go out and coach the other teams, for the rookie team, that's one of the things. So it's a common goal. You can win. You can win the competition. You can win your friends. So they're not separate goals. So I believe all these things. It's a really good philosophy. They are philosophies of teaching everyone, not just the kids, and also the adults, right? And like Helen mentioned that with going through the whole process, it's kind of a reflection to everyone. It's not just for the team members. And you can see my kids were here, Jenny's kids were here. They are definitely in the different, personality and the different capabilities, but they are better than themselves yesterday. That's the goal, and that's all I want to say, right? So I think this is the last slide, right? So this is the post-it you're going to show to the judge, right? It's divided into 5 major areas. Discovery, what you have discovered, right? Integration, how you integrate everyone into one team. And this is kind of, the inclusion, right? We just mentioned, and then competition. So, and the middle part is to introduce who they are and how they work together, right? And these are all the team members, right? And what their interest, hobby is, and then where they live, and these are the roles, the project roles, right? And what I want to point out is the bottom part are the project, kind of a project timeline, which shows how they manage their time, manage their effort, and towards the same goal. And every dot, it's a milestone for the team. So by going through the whole, competition season or off season, don't you think you're preparing them as a well-rounded person for the future? And don't you think they are preparing themselves to inspire other people and also play a great impact influence to the world in the future?
Is this a separate presentation to the judge?
It is one of the presentations. Usually in the competition day, right, in the morning, it's basically 3 judges' rooms. So core value, robot design, right, and then project. So 3 things. You'll be judged on the score, right, and you get a score, and they will give you at the end of the day. And then the whole afternoon is 3 rounds of robot game, right? So I have to remind again, robot game score is basically less than 1/3 of the whole weight, right?
So is it also the 5 minutes presentation?
Yes. Then kind of a little presentation inside, and also they ask you, the whole team, to finish a task. So they're gonna watch you, how you guys quickly in a few minutes can work together, can include everyone together, can finish a task to what level. It's more of, like I said, it's the animation of how you guys meet, how you guys work every day. And the kids, they will not pretend themselves. They, whatever they want to say, whatever their habits, and in that intense, high pressure area, you know, the environment, they're gonna be themselves, right? So you really cannot coach them, you know, how to fake themselves. It's really, they're just showing themselves. So it's a long process. You're given a, you know, maybe 10 or 12 weeks to coach them. Like I said in the beginning, it's very superficial. It's hard to manage and hard to materialize, but it's something that should be embedded in every team meeting. That this is one of the important. It's kind of a things, invisible things to glue all these components together. Okay, any questions? That's all I want to say. I said I want to make a break.
So, Ron, as you mentioned, this core value is something less tangible.
Yes.
It's not hands-on. So, can you share some tips as a coach?
Yeah, there are a
each
lot of
to-
yes. The kids need to be feel included. The identity is very important. There could be some team building events, right? There could be, besides the meeting time is very, the resource is very limited. Everyone wants to finish as many vision as possible. They want to finish the project as possible. And this part is easy to be ignored and put aside, right? It's less important, right? So some team building event that definitely you can do. I would say not to do the team building event just for the team building, right? You could have some off-season event, right?
Everyone, it's approximately 1:30. The library closes at 2 o'clock today. If you're working on the computers, the monitors will go off at 1:45.
That's one thing.
So please think about wrapping up your
the
work.
kids are included.
Thank you. Bye.
And also through the whole meeting time, we should constantly remind them, you know, are we off, right? And also have somebody, the kids in charge of that area, right? Especially some kids with very cute and sweet personality, you know, group people together. That's, you know, we had experience, you know, that year. This girl, she's so sweet that she's been kind of a glue for every, you know, bring the whole team together. Right, that's, maybe, do you have anything to add? Any tips?
No, not yet.
I have a question. So in the tournament, the team will go to the judge once, and then they will present the 3 boards, and then they will go through their project presentation, their robot design, and also the core value.
Right. Three presentations, 3 judges.
They go to separate 3 judges.
3 judges. So it's a totally different set of judges for every category.
Okay. Can you give us an example of, you know, the activities they're asked to do to evaluate?
The year that we went through the regional competition, they were asked to pick whatever you can pick from the box of a level and build an animal. Right. So first you need to decide what animal to build. That's kind of a consensus, right? This kid wants to build this, and there's always conflict. And how to make sure, you know, in maybe just 30 seconds, let's nail down what's the animal we want to build. So that's the one thing. And then after that, how to do that, right? So how do we, what's the strategy? Well, which part do we do first, and what's the scenario of this animal? So you're gonna discuss it, and the judge will just be, standing aside and watch them the whole process. At the end, you can be with them, but only, you can't say anything. Yes, they cannot be close to you at that moment. So they're just themselves.
So is this the main part of the judge? Does that also include presentation?
Yeah, in the beginning of when you walked in, right now it's required to have this board, right? Previous years are not. So you brought in, you briefly introduce yourself, then you're given a task. Yes.
So that task is not determined.
No, it's random. It could be anything. It varies. It will be different between regional and state competition. It will be different, and it's different, from regions to regions. It's based on, there's some guidance from the whole.
And that's all you can bring to the region for language competition.
Yes, you don't. Themselves are the product. You don't need to bring anything else. This is the only thing you need.
During the presentation, how many presenters?
It's all the whole team.
Everyone has interest.
Right, the whole team. But sometimes the different teams. If your team has so many kids, you may every level of competition are slightly different. For states, everyone will get a wristband, right? For the regional, you can send it to a subset of the team. But I think inclusion, right? If you only include part of a team, it is an image that you're sending to the team, you're not the team.
So I imagine probably the team also practice on this kind of task.
Yeah. Right. There's a lot of team building activities, 5 minutes, right? Everybody's not using your hand, use your feet, pass the water bottle, right? And then the water bottles are leaking, how to not spray the water around. So there's a lot of, yeah, you need to drill them. You need to make, propel them in a high pressure environment, how to work together. Yeah, that's part of the meeting.
Yeah, the competition starts from what, county level, regional level?
It varies. In New Jersey is the regional level.
Regional level.
Yes, there's
like Bergen County, Passaic County, this like
yeah, it's not exactly by the county, but then there's a thing, the area. North New Jersey, northern New Jersey. Yes, you're going to see that. Around the time, you're going to see the regions where you register.
Oh, okay. So for the regional, how many teams are there in general?
For the north one, I think it's between 26, am I right? 26, 27, around that.
Between 25 and 35, depending on the year.
Depending on the capacity.
Okay.
Right, so if there's so many teams want to register, they probably will rebalance between the regions and open slightly more slots for one region, for the other. Or if you miss the deadline, if you could not register for one specific region, they redirect you to the others.
Which means register as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Because it's first come, first served.
So out of those 25, 35, like what, 4, 8 go to the state level or the top 2 or top 1?
For the year that we participated, I think it's 2016 or 2017 is like between 6 to 7 advanced. So which means that you need to be well-rounded and balanced in all categories. Right? You could be the first in robot games. Sorry, because you're not the team not balanced.
The judge based on the total score after all three.
There's a lot of a calibration process behind the scene, but the philosophy is you need to be balanced.
A perfect example, our second year, first place in robot design, third place in obstacle course. Like there are a lot. We did not do well in project, we did not do well in core values, we did not get to advance. It made us come back and say, okay, we got some good things done, but really blew an opportunity there, and what made us refocus our efforts on the other areas as well. So we are a shining example of if you focus on just the robot, you're not going to get as far as you don't.
Yes, so I think it's a perfect example. The first team that I coached, we did perfect in the core value. We got in the original second place. We felt like our rookie team was so good and core value, we forgot about it. Next year we sucked in everything. It's just, every year we have a different feeling of the same, same words. So we can chat about this for a long time, but I'll pass it on to Coach Jenny.
And now it's all the people here, we know you guys are serious.
Let's get the names. We got the names already.
But yeah, since the session is very long, so yeah, a lot of kids need to have other activities. So okay, I'm going to make it very quick because we only probably have 15 minutes. We still need to clean up. So for FL coaching, go to next, and I'm probably going to fastest. Go to for the coach responsibility. The first, don't worry if you don't have technical skills, if you don't have like some kind of fancy, you think I'm probably just a stable mom. You are okay to become a coach because basically your job is to your guidance. Because the kids usually, when they do things, you actually lost track. They kind of like just like he said. The kids going to talk about the game, talk about and being drifted. So the coach needs to drag them to guide them back to the topic you need to have. So that's basically the guidance, and the coach also need to become a policeman. For example, the kids fight together, oh my gosh. Yeah, you need to tell them the rules. You need to all the time keep them focused. And all the time like keep entertain them because most FL season is having fun, not like so you try to direct them to different activities based on their focus. Okay, and then the coach also need to think about the whole season because the whole season right now we only have like 12 weeks left, and when the year start when the school year starts you only have 10 weeks left. Like November 17th will be the regional competition in New Jersey. So you only have about 10 weeks after the school starts. So basically, you need to manage the time, manage the project management, especially for the first year team. The time management is very important because each week you need to accomplish something. Yeah, and then also you need to organize the team meetings. Yeah, like all the team meetings, the parents come here just for help. Yeah, do something, but you need to lead the team. You need to guide the team through all the stuff. And also, the team actually have a lot of events. For example, we know that we saw the project. You guys need to do a lot of research. For example, the field trip. For example, the talk to the professionals and have learning something. So basically, and also after you done the project, you need to share your solution. So you need to think about all the events happen. Also, if your team want to build a t-shirt, you can find the parents to help you to organize this, but you basically need to plan it out. You need to get the parents' help and then plan it out. And also for the safety card, everyone knows like those people, the kids running around. You need to have a rule. It's very dangerous. The kids bump on the thing, the most important thing, you have to be a great role model. Basically, to be a coach, the several years, I feel like I'm a better person now. Really, like when you talk, you keep more positive talking. It's not like, hey, why you do this? You should not do. It's like keep positive, change your tone, change all the single words you talk. So it's like you be the big group, especially your parents, not the teacher. Yeah, the teacher you already have this quality. Yeah, but being the parents, you need your child in the future will grow like you. So you better to deal with all the conflict, the kids, all the conflict, and how to solve it, how to form your team group. So you demo your model. So your kids actually, you do not need to tell anything to your kids, but the kids saw you, and in future it will become you. Okay, next. And for the coaching, so you stand up as a coach, but don't worry, you can utilize all the team members' help. So you can find the team the other team parents become mentor, because you only become coach. You can have, you probably don't know technical. If you have a team member who understand like those kind of programming, and you can ask them to help you to mentor the team. And also when you design the poster, if any kids, any parents good with arts, and can ask them to help you guys, to lead the team for that kind of purpose. So those, all the parents can become mentors. And also, like especially after 1 year done, you guys can think about the financial thing, because the team need money. And the first year, all the financial parents covered. It's like, you just get how much money you divide it. But later on, second year, third year, you can start the fundraise. So you can have parents and fundraise mentor, right? You can start to wash the cars. You have a lot of tons of idea. You can lead the kids do. So that's the reason I love the FL, the first team so much, because basically it's like you manage a company. I never think I can stand here to talk, but after 3-4 years, I feel like, oh my gosh, So that's all, like manage a company, how to, also you need to understand marketing your team. So all the team member, you can have the members' parents become a marketing, mentors. And also, I love the first, the best, because the first, each team, it's love to help other team. So if you like need help, you can ask any of us, like any like veteran teams. They can show you like how they grow up from it. I feel like like fortunate, because I have, like when we enter there, we have some kind of previous team. When we talk to them, they actually invite us so for example, the presentation. At the first 2 years, we cannot figure out like how the other team want the project to work, because we all the time want the robot to work. We never want the project to work. But after 2 years, like why we cannot? So I talked to one. There's one team who's the best with the project. So I talked to them. They said, hey, I want to invite you to come to look at our presentation. When I go there, it's like, oh, so you can present the project like that. Very, very clear. So the judge can understand right away with their presentation, not like, so then we learn from that. That's the reason after 3 or 4 years, like after 3 years, we learned from them. So that's the reason we want the project work like #1 in the state, because we learn from other teams. So utilize the other team. And and the rest of them is like building the game table, leading the team building activity. All those kind of things, like planning field trip, you can all ask your parents to help you. And the parents, need to every week you guys need to have a snack. You guys need to have go to anywhere. You guys need to have a parent to like cooperate each other to do this. Okay, next. The commitment. So like the first year commitment, a lot of parents think, oh my gosh, I have a full-time job. I have 2-3 kids. How can I do this? Actually, don't worry, because the first year, you don't need that many commitment, because you don't have high goal. So your commitment is probably only 2 to 4 hours per week. You usually happen like a Saturday, Sunday. It's good enough, because to get the first you get experience about it, that's most important. That's
in 15 minutes. So
okay.
Okay,
5 more minutes. So like my boys, when they reach the 8th grader, actually they running the whole team by themselves. We actually did not really give a lot they organize the field trip, they find professionals online, they try to organize everything by themselves when they reach 8th graders. We did not even touch that at all. The meeting place, that's you guys need to manage, to coordinate with the other parents to say who's going to, but you do need to have a place bigger than to host that table, 4x8 table. That's
a very important point. You gotta have the space.
You have to have the space to host that.
Yes.
And also, there's the online instruction. Here's the online instruction. You can build the table. Next. The kids can to think about like how when the kids have responsibility, every year they work more and more. It depends on what kind of team structure you want your team to be. So give them the job title. Give them, next. The coaching tips, yes. The coaching tips. First, so the first you have to have a rule, the team rules. The team rules is most important. You need to understand because every kid is so busy. You cannot, and this competition is it's a series. It's not like you go there, have fun, and then you can go to anywhere. No. So the first you need to have some like absent rule. Absent rule, yeah. So it's like how many times you absent. Sorry, you have the kids have the commitment, and then the kids love to like have a phone rule. We do those kind of rule. You guys need to set up in the first of the meeting. The first of the meeting, you have to emphasize like those kind of experience. Actually, good. My team actually for the 7 years they never went to the world. Every year they feel they failed. Every single year. After competition, they feel they failed. Actually, I feel that is very good life experience for them because every year they try hard. They try the 7 years. The life is not like going big. It's kind of you step by step go on. And so that's the reason. The first the competition. The first thing you set up the goal is because if you have a goal on the winning, the kids will have like very aggressive during the team meeting, like you stupid, you suck, those kind of things. So you have to set the goal is learning. Okay, and another third one is set each meeting goal on season calendar. Because you have a calendar, you have 10 weeks. 10 weeks, and at the beginning, the first meeting, set up the calendar, like each meeting, what kind of goal you have. And especially in each meeting, like for the first year probably not, but for the experienced team, usually they want a team member go through their own. Every team meeting, they have a status update. So they're going to look at the calendar every single meeting at the beginning. So then it will drive them more focused on their meeting because so that you have to have that team meeting goal to set up there. It's also good for them to learn about the project management. Go through this is what I say that, and then pair up the kids. Usually you don't want 3 kids together. You want 2 kids. 3 kids is all the time. 1 kid is like kind of like loose. So you want an even number. You want 2 kids together and do work together. You also don't want to separate the kids like you divide over because the first one team is not simple. And also when you do any kind of like project, you do everything. You want the kids to their idea, not your idea. Even you have some thinking, but don't give to them. Okay? You kind of like guide them. You kind of give them ask the open question. You want kids to give you thinking, and you want the kids to come up with their own decision. So the coach do not give them the answer all the time. Let the kids come out the answer. And next the positive words, and also do the team building game is actually help for the core value. The core value because they need the kids work together, and so that's the reason you during the team meeting sometimes when you have fun time, let the team to do some team building games. For example, some figure out the puzzle something. Let the kids to do together. Okay, next. Anything? The first team meeting. The first team meeting, what you usually cover is first introduce a coach, introduce a team member, and tell what is the first Lego league, and set up the team goal, and go through the team structure, and set based on each kid's the talent, give them the job role, and then set up the team rules, and usually you want to, if you make it more formal, let them to sign it. That's sign the contract. Make them next time you say, hey, this is your commitment. Okay, you sign it. You need to follow that. And then basically you need to have your team name, team logo, and then here. Yeah, and then build up your team model, the game model, and then brainstorm the year's challenge. So, okay, so that's actually the first. After the first time the team meeting, then you figure out, oh, it's actually easy to go. It's not like that kind of hard. Then you can go to your whole season. Okay, so thank you very much. If you have any questions? So we have a sign up sheet. If you leave your the information, we send you an email. And then if you need help, we actually provide the mentor service. So like usually for the new team, we actually go there like every other week or something. We have our the veteran team member, and we can go there to help you guys for the team meeting and to solve some problem you have. That's what we do. Yeah.
How do we get your contact information?
Did you leave?
I signed the.
Okay, yeah, I will send an email to everyone. Yeah, so then we can, get the, and it's also actually very great to help, like with all the veterans, you give them the experience how to lead the team. So that's the reason I love the first so much, because the kids really stand up as a leader when they after several years done the job. Yes.
All those slides are possible to share.
Yeah.
Okay, so this thing has been live streamed. It should be up on YouTube after they archive the live stream. But we can send you the link. Yeah, or you can just probably search it up. You can find it.
And also, one really quick question about time management between the robot game and the project. It sounds like both will require a lot of time. So
yes.
Based on your experience, like roughly how
what we do is we usually, of course, the robot game will take more time because you cannot go home to do it. So but for the research, you usually can go home and come here to share. So every week, we actually, if you have a 2 hours meeting, we spend like 30 minutes or something for the project, and the rest of time do the robot. But the 30 minutes is like you set meeting time, but the kids have a homework when they go home. Yeah, and every time when they come, because first we need the kids to do a lot of presentation. So every single team meeting, we ask the kids to come here to present what they found out. So every single day, every kid give 5 minutes presentation. So that's the reason after like 10-15 times presentation, the kids really build up their presentation skills. So that's what we do. Yeah.
Where are we going to find those practice events on the community?
They actually in the first, if you register team, you will get email. Yeah, that's the one thing you guys need to really. The practice event, only 3 or 4 practice events including Jersey. So it's very limited spot. It's a very limited spot. So when you get email, it will tell you, okay, the practice event will be open, the registration will be open on certain days, certain time. What we do is we really don't do anything like during that time. We just get on the line. Yeah, when the registration is open, you have to submit like in 10 minutes. Or else, gone. All the spot gone. So it's like, because we have a whole New Jersey around 400 teams, but the practice event probably only have like 100, 150 spots for you. So it's very limited. But they guarantee for your regional event, they guarantee you have to have a regional event. You cannot find it locally, you need to travel 1 hour, but you definitely going to get there. But for practice event, it's not guaranteed. So you have to grab it and then start over.
And everything only allowed for 1 event.
Yes, because you only, it's too limited. Yeah, for the regional event, I think we probably go to more, but the first event they can't. They can't, so you can shoot to the stage or not. Yeah, if you go there. And actually, they have a more scrimmage event coming after the season. So sometimes you can bring the team to scrimmage. Yeah, but that is just for like practice. Yeah, for fun, for sharing. Yeah. Anything else? Wish you guys have a successful.